to keep taking the escape pods instead? Am I entitled to compensation?
I suppose so. Thousands, maybe millions of people are due compensation from Azimuth Biotech. Contact us today. Turner and Fig, cleaning out Azimuth Biotech for a huge portion of your compensation.
Mugs are just the shape I can't forget. They give me pleasure and regret. Something to treasure, or the price you have to pay. Mugs, maybe the sting that slapping brings.
Out there, there's a ship just for you. A ship that can carry you to the furthest stars, jumping long distances whilst offering an unobstructed view of the galaxy. A ship that can also pack a decent punch if the pirates come knocking. A ship that feels safe. A ship that feels like home. The Asp Explorer. A great ship at a great price in a competitive galaxy. Fly far. Fly safe. Fly in front of us.
Are you struggling with paying fines? Do you lose sleep in hyperspace worrying about docking at the next space station? If the answer is yes, then you need to call Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services.
I got scanned while in Federation space and was caught carrying slaves. It was an unexpected expense that I couldn't afford on top of my fines for damage caused whilst docking.
We can help you consolidate all your existing fines into a single large fine, payable in regular instalments at what is almost a competitive interest rate.
I called Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services, and they helped me pay my existing fines before I got a bounty on my head. They really saved my life.
At Cowell & McGrath, we've helped thousands of pilots whose fines had spiralled out of control.
I dared not go near a police star system. Got so desperate that I'd almost resigned myself to a life of piracy. Luckily, I found Cowell & McGrath's services before I actually murdered anyone in cold blood.
No fines too big, no criminal record too damning. We're here to help you, no questions asked. Find us in the Lave business directory.
I'd got into debt as a result of a massive counter lawsuit by Watt and Prittney. It happened because I'd taken advice on Python protection insurance from... Wait a minute! It was you!
Cowell & McGrath. Minimum liability, zero accountability. Warning, balances may go up as well as down. Missed payments may lead to repossession of your ship, seizure of cargo, or the issuing of a death warrant.
Listen here, lady.
You want a working classic? Built stronger to last longer? A ship that'll go on and on, with no dangling wires? Jump across the black, haul to every station, and when the Goids come close, we got some firepower too. Like on Spaceways, engineered and mechanically designed to stay on the job. Put a Lakon on your payroll.
Are you struggling with paying fines? Do you lose sleep in hyperspace worrying about docking at the next space station? If the answer is yes, then you need to call Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services.
I got scanned while in Federation space and was caught carrying slaves. It was an unexpected expense that I couldn't afford on top of my fines for damage caused whilst docking.
We can help you consolidate all your existing fines into a single large fine, payable in regular instalments at what is almost a competitive interest rate.
I called Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services, and they helped me pay my existing fines before I got a bounty on my head. They really saved my life.
At Cowell & McGrath, we've helped thousands of pilots whose fines had spiralled out of control.
I dared not go near a police star system. Got so desperate that I'd almost resigned myself to a life of piracy. Luckily, I found Cowell & McGrath's services before I actually murdered anyone in cold blood.
No fines too big, no criminal record too damning. We're here to help you, no questions asked. Find us in the Lave business directory.
I'd got into debt as a result of a massive counter lawsuit by Watt and Prittney. It happened because I'd taken advice on Python protection insurance from... Wait a minute! It was you!
Cowell & McGrath. Minimum liability, zero accountability. Warning, balances may go up as well as down. Missed payments may lead to repossession of your ship, seizure of cargo, or the issuing of a death warrant.
like to introduce yourself?
Space can be lonely. What now?
Hello and welcome to the latest in the Lave Radio writers' interviews. Joining me today is executive producer on Elite Dangerous and Elite Legacy author Michael Brooks. Thank you for joining us today, Michael.
That's fine, good to meet you.
Awesome. So, Michael, I was hoping that you could maybe tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and your background in writing and your history with Elite.
Well, as I'm sure you're all aware, I'm executive producer on Elite Dangerous. I got involved in the project back during the Kickstarter, which is where I met many of you for the first time. Writing has always been a passion of mine. I've loved telling stories ever since I was a young age, in particular sort of short stories and poems and that kind of format. A few years ago, I took the National Novel Writing Month challenge, which is to write a 50,000 word novel in a month, and I actually managed to complete the novel in that time. And there was a kind of an open writing group where people provided feedback, and some of them said, well, that's actually pretty good. So I spent a year cleaning it up and released it as my first novel, which was The Cult of Me.
That's excellent. I mean, I've had a go at National Writing Month a couple of times myself and only just managed to miss the mark. So was that your first go at it?
It was my first go.
That's really impressive. That's really very impressive. So obviously Legacy is the official Elite fiction book published by Frontier. What gave you the idea that you needed for Legacy?
So I spent some time talking with David about what we'd like to see, and the original idea was to do a sort of spiritual successor to the Dark Wheel. Obviously the universe has changed a bit since the Dark Wheel was written, so we didn't really want to sort of reimagine that and sort of change what had already been written, because that's part of the legacy of the game. I also wanted to make sure that we did something that felt like you could be part of the story if you were playing it in game. So I wanted the story to be quite almost an intimate story with a small group of people that you could identify with.
What made you choose the Dark Wheel as a starting point? Because I know it's a very popular Elite book, but what was it specifically about that?
So the Dark Wheel obviously is the quintessential book about Elite. It was the fiction that most people read, and I remember reading it back in the mid-80s when I had my little Acorn box set. And really it sort of added to the game in the sense that it gave life to what was going on sort of beyond the pixels. And really it was that sort of legacy that I wanted to try and continue.
Mm-hmm. And so is that one of your first memories of Elite then, is reading the Dark Wheel and opening that box?
My first memory of Elite is stacking it into the side of a space station.
Brilliant. I think lots of people can share that first memory there. So, I mean, what drew you to Elite?
So Elite was the game that got me into gaming in a serious way. I was about 13, 14 at the time. And I'd played lots of computer games, but only in passing. But with Elite, suddenly there was this huge world that I could interact with, and that really caught my imagination. And so I have to say it's pretty cool, sort of 30 years later, to be working on the sequel to it.
Did any other books or any other writers have any influence over you writing Legacy? Or
so I have a number of favourites for science fiction authors. There's obviously the classics like Asimov. Ian M. Banks is a particular favourite of mine.
Yeah.
I love the culture universe.
Absolutely, no, me too.
But the other interesting thing with the Elite Dangerous universe is it actually already comes with a whole stack of fiction. So you've got the Dark Wheel, then the stories, the Tales from Frontier on the FFE, and the various short stories that came with it. So that gave us quite a rich starting point. The previous game also had a lot of gazettas and other information that we could build on, and also helping the other authors doing their official books. We had to prepare a lot of background documentation for that and work with the authors to try and make their ideas fit in with the universe and take what they'd come up with. And that just gave me a wealth of knowledge to play with, really.
So focusing on Legacy a little bit more now, maybe you could tell the listeners a little bit more about the book specifically, the storyline, without it being a bit too spoilery, hopefully.
I'll try and avoid it. So basically the story revolves around the mining colony of Freeholm. And there's been some mysterious ship destruction going on in the neighbourhood. So they start investigating what's going on, and it turns out that there's quite a dramatic plot against them. But the story really revolves around a central cast of a few characters. And with that, I kind of wanted to get a more sort of Seven Samurai feel, where you've got this sort of mix of very different characters who come together for a common cause.
I know that you're known quite well for being very prolific on the forums. You know, I think somebody mentioned the other day that in a 6-day period you managed to post 120 times on the forums. And you also now write quite a lot on your own blog, The Cult of Me, don't you?
Yes.
So I think a lot of listeners want to know, how on earth do you find time to do everything that you do? Like, do you not sleep? I don't know.
I think I probably don't get as much sleep as I should, but a lot of it is time management as well. I think that's the only reason I managed to do the NaNoWriMo the first time, was basically I allocated 2 hours a day just to make sure I got those 1,800 words. So you just have to sort of be very focused.
You must be an absolute master at time management.
I try to be.
What are you looking forward to most in the future of Elite Dangerous at the moment? Like, what aspects of the lore that's out there excite you?
So the big thing for me actually is the player participation. So we have the various systems where players are working together to overturn the ownership of the system. And it's having this sort of player-driven narrative that actually I think is fairly unique, for especially in a universe as big as Elite. But also we've got some nice things planned for the future, which I can't really tell you about just yet. So, but yes, there's some cool stuff coming.
Yeah. So do you think, with the sort of the involvement, like the community goal stuff, is there going to be storylines coming out of that more and more? Do you think, is that the kind of thing that?
Yes, definitely. The whole point of the community goals is it provides a focused method for large groups of players to work in conjunction towards this common goal, like building a space station or whatever. And that will certainly form the focus of most of the stories that happen. Obviously, there's still going to be the mix of the high politics, but we want to get players more involved in that side of things as well.
Yeah. I know. I've been following the Galnet newsfeed quite closely myself, and it's nice to see people picking up on pieces and out of there, and then running in their own direction with it. I think that's one of the nice things that you get this sort of collective storytelling element to it. Now, the hardback of Elite Legacy is out already.
Yep.
As is the paperback. Yes,
and the ebook version is available on the store, and the Kickstarter backer ones will be sent out shortly as well.
Excellent. I know a lot of people were looking forward to getting those, or getting their hands on the ebook version, certainly.
The signed books from the Kickstarter are signed by myself and David. So
that's really cool. So I've got some listeners' questions.
Okay.
Hopefully they won't be too bad. So members in the community have noticed your love of axes, helmets, and other interesting sort of paraphernalia. They'd like to know, where does this love of these items come from? So, also, I think somebody mentioned Cthulhu as well.
Lovecraft is one of my favourite authors of all time, and I'm a big fan of the Cthulhu mythos. I quite like the idea of elder gods being something that actually don't look after humanity. They're something a bit dangerous. The axes came from a friend. This was a few years ago, and I had much longer hair back then. And she said that as I looked like a Viking, I deserved a Viking weapon. So it's just gone on from there. The hats and helmets is a bit of a tradition here at Frontier, in that when we have a milestone day, you're supposed to wear a hat. So it's just making sure that I had plenty of hats that I could give to people who, if they didn't have one of their own.
So the hats thing is actually an office thing then. Yeah. It's not just.
That's where it started, but I do like hats.
You've developed a love of hats.
Yes.
Excellent. What's your favourite hat?
Oh, that's a tricky one. So I think it's probably my steampunk Cthulhu mask.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good choice. I'm a fan of Lovecraft myself, so I can appreciate that. Another listener would like to know, would you like to write more Elite Dangerous fiction?
I'm constantly involved in the Galnet news anyway, so in a way I'm already writing more fiction. Will there be more books? That's unknown at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
I know a lot of people want to know that.
We shall see. The story is certainly open for a sequel if we want to go that way.
Excellent. So are there any other projects that you're working on at the moment that you can tell us about?
So for sci-fi fans, I released Sundragon late last year. So if you're interested in Mars, you can take a trip to Mars in there. So it's already getting some good reviews, so I'm quite happy.
Excellent. Do you, anything else? Or I know that you do. You've been writing some other work for some fantasy ones as well. Is that right?
Generally, I write a mixture of science fiction, horror, and metaphysical sort of thrillers. So I had the concluding book, The Last True Demon, from my third, which was the last book in the trilogy from the first book I ever wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So that was quite a weird feeling coming to the end of that little sequence.
Story arc,
yes.
yeah. Was it a relief? What was it?
Well, it was nice just to see the end, because I'd always had the end sort of pictured, but as it sort of delved into meaning of life stuff right at the sort of climax, so I was always a bit worried about how that would turn out, but I'm pretty pleased with it.
Now, as our listeners know, we recently had a Lave Radio Drabble competition. If you don't know what a drabble is, it's a story which is written in precisely 100 words, and we ask commanders to incorporate Lave Station into the drabble somehow. Now, the prize is a hardback signed copy of Michael's new book, Elite Legacy, appropriately. And as a champion of the drabble format, Mr. Brooks kindly agreed to judge the competition for us and has selected a winner from the many entries that we've received. There's a huge variety of entries and there's some excellent writing on display, but obviously there can only be one winner. So, Michael, if you'd like to tell the listeners who the winner is.
Okay, so I read through all the entries, and as Lee says, there's a tremendous quality to the writing that was there. And I picked The Freegal Sonnet by Commander Twisted as the winner.
Excellent, and Michael has kindly agreed to read the winning entry out for us. So, Michael, over to you.
When snicks convene in our polluted sky, blood are we shed and metal twisted bent. Those serpents' worms with tongues that only lie sing always of their rivals' malcontent. Hear viper's melody, a psalm to anguish, singing melancholy, adder to into flame, and python tunes a promise that she'll vanquish the cobra's madrigal of grief and blame. Hush now, for asp is clung to boa's breast, and anaconda swallowed both entire, a Cleopatran chorus that is blessed with silence now that eagles in the choir. For what but birds can save us, Lave, from venom? Lizards have no place among the heavens.
Excellent stuff. I think it's a very, very deserving winner. So congratulations to Commander Twisted. We will be in touch with you shortly. I think all that's left for me to say now is thank you very much, Michael, for joining us today and agreeing to do this interview.
That's quite all right. Thank you very much.
It's been great fun and a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
This is Lave Radio. You're listening to the Dex Legacy science fiction drama by Emily Inkpen, produced by Alternative Stories.
Previously on the Dex Legacy. While Nathaniel Dex and Dr. Osa Srivastava were launching their experimental bomb from Xenos, an event that would become known as the Roan Missile Disaster, Varian, Isra and Ren were battling enemies of the Osgilian government in the Dominos Mountains. Designed by Dr. Devek Jha to be highly effective soldiers, the three were making light work of their enemy, until the enemy decided to target them. The rebels created nets with an electrical current and managed to catch Isra, paralyzing her and disabling the Dex Industries tracking chip lodged in her spine. A hunt began, and Ren followed the rebels back to their mountain hideout. He arrived in time to save her life, but too late to save her from harm. However, with no lasting physical damage done, Isra was fitted with a new tracking chip and sent straight back into action.
Dex Legacy Episode 3, The Firm, starring Chris Gregory, Warren Graham, Annika Cordes, Louis Watson, Kamara Elliott, Kelsey Griffin, Charlie Richards, and me, Emily Inkpen.
Auto, what's the latest?
Breaking news from Zart, capital city of Xenos. The famously nationalistic administration led by Minister Agwe has fallen. After 15 years of unrivaled popularity, his party suffered a sharp decline in support after what is now being called the Rhone missile disaster. The newly appointed Premier, Minister Rosette, has promised to lead Xenos into a new age of accountability. In her first act, she called upon the International Confederation of World Leaders to hold self-proclaimed president of the disputed Dex Island state, Nathaniel Dex, to account for his part in the Rhone missile disaster. It is as yet unclear whether the International Confederation will intervene in this matter.
Auto, stop.
Ren, Isra. Sorry I'm late. Our father called.
He's not our father, Varian.
He's our adopted father, Isra.
What did he want?
Timings. I said I'd catch up with you two and get back to him with an estimate. Ren, I take it you've got a battle plan?
I do. Here's the map.
Activating map.
And you think that's where our remaining Dominosu rebels will be?
Pax did some recon last night. We know that's where they are.
Now, we need to get them out of the caves and into this area, so we can surround them and force a surrender. We've already taken and closed off any of the caves they could use to escape, and they know we're coming. Hopefully, this won't take long.
They can take as long as they like.
I can take the center ground, Ren. You and Isra go in through these tunnels to cut off any escape, and herd them to me.
No, Varian, you're taking the tunnels. Me and Isra will be out in the open, out front.
Are you sure?
Yes, go in through here and here.
I'll place Pax up top. She can pick off any who chance to climb and press down through the tunnels from above.
And we'll be waiting for them in the field.
I can't wait.
Good, I will.
I'll go and talk to Pax.
She's going to destroy them.
Yup.
You killed the ones who took her prisoner, Ren. She doesn't have to.
So?
So you think it's okay if she goes out and kills all the remains of the Dominosi people?
I hope she does.
Seriously?
Yes, Varian, seriously. I hope she kills as many as it takes for her to be okay again.
And how many will that be?
I don't know, and I don't care.
They are people, Ren. They are people with families,
and every one of them would do it again if they could, and you know it. They took me first. They were going to kill me, Varian. They'd have killed her too, eventually. She deserves to make them pay, and they deserve what's coming to them.
You're losing sight of what's important, of what we are.
And what's that?
We are the ones who've been doing most of the killing in this conflict, not them. They were trying to get back at us.
Are you saying she deserved it?
No, of course not.
We're still people, Varian. We count as people too.
I know that.
And you can't talk. You killed 20 of them when they tried to take you 2 days ago.
So?
You did that because you knew what happened to me and to Isra, and you were afraid.
I wasn't afraid.
We're all fighters, Varian. We all know what it takes to get out of a situation like that. It's a strength that comes from our fight or flight instincts, and it's triggered by fear. You were afraid because you knew that what was done to Isra and what was done to me was going to happen to you. They won't stop just because we killed the ones who took us. They'll try harder. So we end it. And I hope she kills them all.
She's barely spoken to me since it happened. How's she been?
How do you think?
I don't know, Ren. But I'm guessing not good.
It's been bad. But we're getting through it.
We?
Yes, Varian, we. A lot hinges on this battle and getting out of these damn mountains. It's no good telling her she's safe when we're only one rebel raid away from being right back in those caves all over again. I need to give her every chance to fight and kill her way through this. It's what she needs. I think, I don't know, I'm making it up as I go, but that's why I need you to go in those tunnels. Ever since I was captured, I keep getting flashbacks. They happen every time I go underground.
You kept that quiet.
Yeah, well, they only last a second, but they're distracting and can make a difference in a fight. Thing is, if I get them, Isra, well, she's bound to as well now. So, I want to keep her out in the open, where she can wreak as much havoc as she likes without the risk of triggering any kind of breakdown. But I can't trust myself to be clear-headed at the moment either, and we have to end this today. Given all that, I thought you'd be the strongest to send in there.
It's all right, Ren. I've got this. We've got this.
Thanks.
You're really looking after her.
As much as I can. Yes.
I get it. I think I'm starting to at least.
Incoming call. Osgilian Chancellery. Osgil.
Good afternoon, Chancellor. Yes, I've just received confirmation from Varian. The Dominossi have surrendered. There was a little bloodshed at the end. They needed persuading, but it was nothing more than our ground troops could handle. The Dex Island forces will leave Osgilian territory as soon as yours are in place to handle terms between Osgil and the Dominossi people. No, they're not rebels anymore. Quite. Is there anything more Dex Industries can do for you? I see. I think we can help with that, yes. I'll send a representative to your chancellery with a few prototypes. No, thank you, Chancellor.
Call terminated.
Am I understanding correctly, Nathaniel? Do the Osgilian Chancellors want more from us?
Yes, Tristan. It appears they're satisfied with how this conflict has been resolved, and now they want to look into our automatic defence systems.
Well, that's our main line of business, so no difficulty there. And Varian, Isra and Ren will be coming home.
Yes, they'll be here. Although I'm expecting to deploy them again within a few months. North Jakra has voiced interest.
That is interesting. Were you going to do anything to mark their return?
No. Why would I?
It's a significant homecoming.
Explain.
This was their first deployment, and they did well, leading troops and representing the company's interests abroad. Is it your intention to make them commanders in our military?
You know it is, Tristan, and so do they. This was their first field test.
And they passed?
Yes.
So, Nathaniel, this is an opportunity for us to make their place in Dex Industries and the Dex military clear.
There's no point. Their place is clear, as long as they behave.
Yes, but do they know that?
Tristan, as my adopted children, it goes without saying.
Not necessarily. I believe it would be wise to mark the occasion, make them feel recognised and appreciated, put on a show and help them to understand their responsibilities going forward.
You think they need reminding of their responsibilities?
Nathaniel, I manage the greatest spy network this world has ever been unaware of. My operatives are active throughout the world, and if I've learned anything, it's that one must take every possible opportunity to remind people of their responsibilities. They need to be made aware that they're not the only Dex subjects, but Dex leaders, who may end up shaping the future of our company. This event could be used to separate them further from the other soldiers of their generation, the ones you didn't adopt, but kept as an extended part of Devik's work.
Those children mean nothing to me, Tristan. There were 21. I chose 3. The rest are spares.
Yes, but so far Varian, Isra and Ren have been more like distant siblings to the others of their generation. Now we need them to take command of the rest. We have 10 surviving spares, as you call them. I understand Devik's been working on them.
Devik's been giving them watered-down treatments developed off the back of his experiments with Varian, Isra and Ren. These 10 spares could be useful, but they're weak by comparison.
True, but stronger than any other soldiers in the world.
You foresee a time when the Dex military offering will be large enough to require tiers of leadership. Generals and colonels and so on, as our ancestors called them.
I do.
Well, that would please Devek. And it's true, Varian, Isra and Ren's success in the mountains has already sparked interest. And the more they achieve, the higher the demand for ground troops will be. We'll need to satisfy that demand somehow.
But Varian, Isra and Ren must lead.
Fine, Tristan. Go ahead and organise an event. Invite some media. We're going to the effort, we might as well make the most of it.
Now approaching Dex Island. Estimated arrival time, 5 minutes.
Almost home. Isra?
Yes, Varian, almost home. And the first opportunity we get, I'm going to the beach.
Seriously? You're not done with sand?
It's the sea I want. The ocean. I want water. Lots of water. I need to wash the desert off me.
The beach it is then. You'll have to go without me though. I have a date tonight.
Who's the latest?
No idea yet, but I left a couple behind and I'm sure one of them will be up for welcoming me back.
You're despicable.
I'm not sorry. Ren, are you alright?
Yes, sorry, Varian. Just happy to be home. Then I never thought I'd feel that way. Wait, what's going on?
What is it?
The whole military base is formed up in front of the palace. All the soldiers and everyone.
Initiating landing protocols.
Why are we landing here on the lawns in front of everybody?
Okay, quick. You two, do up your jackets, sort out your hair.
What is all this?
No idea. But I think we should look as presentable as we can.
Thank the gods they sent clean uniforms in the transport.
I'm guessing that wasn't an accident.
Touchdown. You have arrived at the primary residence of Nathaniel Dex, founder of Dex Industries and president of Dex Island. Welcome home, Varian Dex, Isra Dex, and Ren Dex.
How thoughtful. A personalised message.
How thoughtful.
I thought we'd just get tipped out of the base, come back to our rooms here and eat, crash in front of a broadcast drama for a few hours.
Well, Varian, it seems like we're not going to be doing that for a while.
I don't like this.
Neither do I, Isra, but...
Door opening. Smile, there are reporters waiting.
Well, this just keeps getting better.
You two, shut up.
I am not smiling, Varian.
I don't care. Let's just get back to the palace and work out what's going on.
Look, Nathaniel's waiting for us.
We're going to look straight ahead and walk. We're going to look like we are expecting this.
Varian, how do you sound so confident?
I stopped thinking and start doing.
Well, that explains so much.
Shut up, Ren. Here we go.
I think we should stop at the bottom of the steps and wait.
Okay.
Welcome home, Varian, Isra and Ren, from the Oscillian region of Domon, where you successfully served your country on foreign ground for the first time. During your deployment, you faced new threats and challenges, and overcame the odds by emerging victorious from deep within enemy territory. You are a product of which Dex Industries can be very proud. A living, breathing embodiment of our values, our technology, and a shining example of just how extraordinary our species can be when properly adapted and enhanced. Your achievement during these months reached far beyond your extraordinary physical capabilities. The demands of leadership can test the most resilient individual, and even under difficult circumstances, your dedication to one another, as well as your troops, gave Dex Island the tactical advantage in every battle. In war, we learn where our true priorities lie, and you have proven yours are exactly where they ought to be. I could not be more proud. In light of all you have achieved, I am naming you, Varian, Isra and Ren, commanders of the Dex army.
What? I just wanted to eat and go to bed.
From now on, you will set the standard for all Dex soldiers to come. You will raise our troops, and you will lead them into war. You will be the driving force behind the most advanced military offering this world has ever seen. You left Dex Island as prototypes. You have returned as my greatest accomplishment. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my children.
Scan complete. Result logged. Standing by.
Do you think he meant any of that?
Which bit, Ren? Us being prototypes or us being his children? Or the bit about us making him proud?
D. All of the above.
Commencing scan.
He's good at making speeches, Ren. Don't you remember when he made the big public noise about our treatments being totally humane? He sounded convincing then too, didn't he?
The next round hurt so much I was screaming for a month. Yes, I remember.
And here we are again, right back in the lab.
Scan complete. Result logged. Standing by.
My beautiful children, you're home at last.
Hello, Osa.
Oh, Ren, you have grown again since you left, for sure. Look at you. And you have some new scars to add to your collection, I see. Very nice, too. Who won that competition?
Depends. Are we talking about the scars you can see, or the scars you can't?
Oh. Now, isn't that the question?
Varian won. Show her the one in your back, Varian. Turn around.
Well, I'd be surprised if you didn't win with that beauty. It cuts across your spine, though. Am I going to be designing replacement vertebra for you 3? You'll be made of metal at this rate.
Go ahead, Osa, why not? Nothing else about us is natural.
That's not true. Your internal organs, your hearts and your minds. Do not forget that. Your flesh and blood still, if you forget you can die, you will not live for long, Hello, Devik.
Scans complete and results logged.
All healthy, I hope.
Yes, you're all fit and well. Nathaniel tells me there's another mission on the horizon for you all. But he also tells me there's time for another round of treatments before you leave.
What? But we passed the test. We led the fight in Dominar. We were everything you designed us to be.
Isra, you've performed exquisitely. You always do. But research continues, and so do my improvements. There's more to be done in terms of stabilizing the changes that have been made, and...
You were right, Varian. We are still prototypes.
We're all prototypes, Ren. I test myself and test myself and improve all the time. I will never consider myself finished. And as far as I'm concerned, you 3 will never be finished either.
Ren!
How long do we have until the next treatments begin?
I would get started immediately. But your father wants you to settle into your new roles first. He's asked for 1 week. But really, you're soldiers and you've been leading the troops all this time anyway, so I can't see what's changed. But what do I know?
Devek, Nathaniel has made his intentions clear. Varian Isra Wren, you do as you're told, and so do we.
I don't want any more. I'm fine. I'm better than fine. We're all better than anyone else in the world.
For now, Ran, maybe. But things change. As long as I live, there's enhancements to be made. Now, don't give me the sad faces. You knew this would happen. You knew the treatments wouldn't stop. And I think you like being better than everyone else, really. A bit of discomfort here and there is worth it, isn't it? To be faster, stronger, to bleed less when you're hurt. When you were little, one of your treatments triggered ocular albinism and you were nearly blind for a year, remember? But now you all have those beautiful blue eyes. And with the mechanical irises and engineered retinas Osa designed for you, you can see further and clearer than anyone else. The sad times lead to happier times in the end. They always do. And this time will be no different. What do we say?
1 week.
Good boy, Varian. Yes, 1 week. All right, you can go. It's good to have you home.
Okay. Hey, slow down a minute.
Why?
Because... Are you all right?
Why wouldn't I be all right?
Well, there's a fairly obvious reason, don't you think?
I told you, I'm fine.
I don't want to hurt you.
You couldn't if you tried.
Not that kind of hurt. And, for the record, I could, but not that kind of hurt. We've barely talked about it, and last time we did this, you ended up in a pretty bad way.
What is there to talk about? I killed 1,000 of them, so they took me. You killed them. So now it's over.
It's not, though, is it?
Well, not when you keep bringing it up.
Isra, we're not moving past it, if you're not even looking at it.
What do you want from me?
Everything. You know that.
Well, I can't, Ren. I can't give you everything right now. I have to keep something for myself. Or what's left. You want to take everything from me.
I want to share everything with you.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
I can't share everything. How can I? You'll never understand.
But I do. To a point. I was their prisoner for 2 days. You were strung up and tortured. I was tied to a chair and tortured.
It's different.
I know. But it's not so different.
I'm not looking at it because it doesn't make sense. They did that to me. And how did that happen? I killed more of them than anyone. I am the best out there, and it doesn't make sense. I keep thinking about it. It happened, but I can't believe it happened. It replays in my head, and it's like it's not real. But I feel it. I know it's real. Everyone knows.
Who?
Everyone in the base knows what happened. I saw it in their eyes when we were in the camp at Domina. I see what they're thinking about. They think I'm weak.
Trust me, no one thinks you're weak.
Everyone thinks I'm weak. If a bunch of rebels could do that to me, why can't anyone try it? I know they're thinking it.
Isra, no one's thinking that.
How do you know? Have you asked them?
Of course I haven't.
I'll kill them if they try.
I'll kill them if they try.
You might not be there.
I'll always be there. Or Try to be.
It's not your fault, Ren.
It is my fault. If I'd run faster, if I'd have got there...
You ran as fast as you could. You know it, I know it. Those nets... I should have found a way out myself. I hate that you had to rescue me. Do you know how sick that makes me feel?
You were paralysed. You couldn't even move.
I...
Sometimes we have to rely on each other.
Yeah, I suppose. Varian and me, we rescued you. How are your hands?
They hurt in the mornings. And at the end of the day for about an hour after training.
You never told me they still hurt.
Yes, well, you've had your own stuff going on.
You just killed the mood, making me talk about my stuff because I'm not talking about it enough. And now it turns out you've not been talking about your stuff either.
This isn't about me.
Yes, it is. It's about you wanting me to talk about my stuff. But I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it.
Well, I don't want to talk about my stuff either.
Can we just not talk about it then?
Sure.
Thank the gods.
You can talk about it, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. We might have a few things to work out here.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Why are you bothering? Why not just find someone else? Someone less screwed up?
Because we're both screwed up. And I'm not going anywhere.
Is this the new treatment, Devek?
No. Their next one has been ready for a year. This one is still in the early stages. What is it, Osa?
Why are you waiting a week before starting your treatments? What did Nathaniel say, exactly?
He said the children need to understand their new responsibilities before they're taken out of commission for any length of time. Nathaniel wants them to assert their new authority over their fellow soldiers. New responsibilities? They're experiments, first and foremost. They're my life's work. He adopted them for me.
I know this, Devek. But Nathaniel changes his mind when he likes. It sounds like you're getting an army to play with. You should be happy about that, at least.
I'm happy to have the army. I just don't want those three leading it.
What else would they do?
They would stay here, in the lab, where I can keep an eye on them. I would use them to perfect my treatments, then roll out universally adapted versions of those treatments to the rest. As specimens, those three are far too valuable to risk. They are priceless. Why are you asking?
Tristan has something on his mind, and a week is long enough for him to undermine your plans.
My plans have been undermined so often, I'm working in a sinkhole.
As for the children, you may consider them priceless, but Nathaniel attaches a price to everything. Your experiments are expensive, and he wants to see some return on his investment. They are your life's work, but your life's work belongs to him. You know what would happen to us if we no longer had his protection. We are his subjects. And we serve.
And we serve.
In episode 3 of The Dex Legacy, you heard Chris Gregory as Nathaniel Dex, Warren Graham as Tristan Crail, Annika Cordes as Dr. Osa Srivastava, Louis Watson as Dr. Devik Shah, Kamara Elliott as Varian Dex, Kelsey Griffin as Isra Dex, Charlie Richards as Ren Dex, and Emily Inkpen as Auto, with music by Dr. Alan Stroud. The Dex Legacy is written by me, Emily Inkpen, and produced by Alternative Stories. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. It really does help. If you would like to support The Dex Legacy, you can at ko-fi.com/The Dex Legacy audio drama.
Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite
and the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous,
and the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from the current Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 446 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, otherwise known as Colin Ford. I have the dubious honour of being the chief archivist at Lave Station. And joining me in the orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our SRV Banksy, that's Commander Alec Turner.
Hello, I'm drinking a whiskey sour and it's delicious.
He has to get tanked up in order to deal with this show. We also have our head of health and safety, Commander Edelweiss, otherwise known as Ben Moss Woodward.
Hello, I'm drinking an iced coffee and it too is delicious.
Lovely. Because unfortunately Psychit, our lovely Psychit, has taken a poorly turn for the moment, so get well soon, Psychit. But as usual, we've gone and drafted him yet again. Welcome back, like Chris Mark IV.
Hello, I am drinking fresh tap water because it's cheap.
How's that ass groove you're wearing in there, Chris?
What do you expect from someone from Edinburgh?
Fuck you!
If you wish, you can join us live. We're hanging out in game, in open. Where are you hanging out, Ben?
Right. Currently, I am in Bernoulli, London, in the Verkehrsberbur system. Basically, I'm near Tanaris, or whatever his name is. Big nasty Thargoid bloke.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm in a. Yeah, I'm there after getting ouchied, basically.
Yes. We'll certainly be touching on that one later. If you can't get to us in-game, you can join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat. or you can go straight to twitch.tv/Lave Radio, or YouTube Lave Radio, or even Facebook Lave Radio, and Twitter. Surprisingly, Lave Radio there. So, let's have a quick chat round the crew, see how they've been for the last week. We'll start with Ben this week.
Okay, well, game-wise, as I said a couple of seconds ago, I've been getting ouchied, trying to get a ship that is ready to go into the Maelstrom with limited time and things like that. I know I don't have all the stuff, but well, I guess we'll be covering this all at some point later, so I'll not dive into that. But I've been doing stuff around there and trying to get myself into a position where I can dive deeper. I've been doing some scavenging and hull crunching and things like that in Star Citizen, and raiding bunkers. I've been playing RimWorld. I've been talking about what's it called again? I've been talking about Cyberpunk and basically the joys of modding games, because we were talking about Starfield and saying, Starfield will be awesome in about 6 months when there's a whole load of mods for it, and they've gone off and done some patches to actually make the game playable. Because this is Bethesda we're talking about, and I don't have any high expectations for initial release. I think this is also another thing that we'll be covering a little bit later. I saw The Flash in the cinema, which was...
That dirty old man on row 4C.
No, that was The Flasher. The Flash is the thing with Ezra Miller, who is a dirty old person, possibly. Or dirty young person, because I don't think they're that old. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's an okay film. I did also, though, go and see Spider-Man again, and Spider-Man is an absolutely awesome film and remains an awesome film.
Excellent.
What else have we been doing? Oh, I gave blood. That was fun.
Well, again? I thought you gave blood last week.
Oh, yeah. Did I mention? Did I cover that? I can't remember. I've also had about 3 hours sleep, so I am a little bit sleep deprived.
Keeps going back for the tuck biscuits. Can't get away from the melting tuck biscuits.
Damn right. What else have we done? Yeah, that'll do for now.
Fair enough. Chris Mark IV, apart from being a radio host on a Sunday lunchtime, what else have you been up to this week?
Oh, thanks for getting the plug in there for me, Colin. Much appreciated. What else have I been doing? I was a bit like Ben, actually. Went to the cinema, went to see The Flash last week, and kind of enjoyed it, actually. I was expecting the worst, because it's had so many reshoots and things, but I actually ended up enjoying parts of that. The weekend, just enjoying the sunshine while we had it for a little bit. It's been too warm, but I've got to appreciate the fact that I will be complaining that it's too wet, cold and cloudy for the rest of the year, so I've got to get that in now. And then was back at the cinema actually last night to see No Hard Feelings, the new Jennifer Lawrence movie. So I've basically been borrowing the air conditioning of the cinema for the last couple of weeks, really. And went out to see that one. In-game, I've not had a lot of chances to be in-game. I've probably spent too long at the cinema. And work and other bits and pieces that have been going on. But yeah, not had much of a chance of being in game. What I have been doing in game is my ongoing mission to engineer some of my ships. So I've spent a lot of my time engineering a ship to allow me to get other parts, a good combat ship, so that I can blow other ships up, so that I can steal their parts to then make a ship that can then go into the Maelstrom eventually. And by the time I complete this entire saga, there'll probably be something available to buy that will get you into the Maelstrom.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's if you're starting from scratch and you want to go into the Maelstrom, and then, I'm kind of midway with this as well, because I'll discuss it when we get to we get to the appropriate part of the show. Otherwise, I will end up ranting, and we don't want that just this early into the show. Let's have a quick chat with Commander Alec Turner.
Hello, yes. This week I've mostly been Titan tissue sampling, but I gather this is more of a for later theme. So suffice to say, for now, I started. Well, actually, to be honest, I've been buckyball racing, of course. But that finished Sunday, and we're definitely talking about that later as well. And then Monday morning, I switched to Titan tissue sampling, and I am currently in the top 75%. Psychic will be delighted to hear only for Aegis. Azimuth can go screw themselves, even though they have a nicer paint job. Yes, I'm in the top 75% with a whopping 36 tissue samples.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, meanwhile, what have I been doing out of game? Well, I have some. I had a bit of PitCon news, I suppose, because I think I originally managed to grab what certainly seemed from the Discord like ticket number 1 for PitCon, but I've had to cancel, which is a great shame because I was massively looking forward to it. But way back at Christmas, folks may remember when Fozza was hosting and we were talking about Christmas presents. And the Christmas present I mentioned was to go on a 6-day Windsor chair making course. Smack bang in the middle of the Westonbirt Arboretum, there's a little sort of encampment, I suppose, where they teach you traditional woodworking techniques. So you literally use like foot pedal lathes and things to turn the legs of this chair, and you hand carve a seat, and looks really good. So anyway, we finally managed to get a booking. It's been quite hard for various reasons to sort this out, but we are going, and it clashes with PitCon. So hey ho, I would rather carve wood than see Burr again, is what it comes down to.
There is so many things we could go with that, but we won't.
The thing that was just occurred to me this afternoon was that when I return from this course, should I name one of my ships the Chairmaker? Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but for any Ian Banks fans out there, you will know that
only if it's white.
You will know that the Chairmaker does not have necessarily good connotations to it. So, although I will be the Chairmaker in a real sense, I'm not sure.
I'm just worried about you now making allusions to both wood and bones in the same context as Burr, which is
don't
quite
mention the bones. Don't mention the bones. Spoilers.
So we're going to have Alec Woodturner then.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
nice.
I mean, it's a good joke, but that is literally where the surname comes from. So I should be good at it in theory.
It's in your genes.
Do you know what's really funny, actually? Just on this.
Talking of wood.
Talking of wood, the community is great. The Elite Dangerous community is so great. So I mentioned in the Pit Discord that I wasn't, that I was going to have to cancel PitCon, which is a great shame. And I explained why. And somebody in the Burr Pit Discord, I've forgotten their name, that's bad, not only said that they had attended a very similar course and showed me the chair, that sent me some pictures of the chairs they'd made, which were fantastic, also got married in the Westonbirt Arboretum, or at least in Westonbirt. Coincidence. How extraordinary. Anyway, that's me.
Lovely. Well, let's have a quick think about what I've been doing. I've been doing mission research with my power play commander, and actually having a good time discovering the old missions on that everybody has basically moved on from. So yeah, I did my first disable the turrets the other day. That was the first time I've ever tackled that mission, and yeah, I'm wanted. Yeah, I forgot. Sometimes you've got to be bad to be good. You've got to be bad to have a good time. Yes, so I was doing that. There's obviously a buckyball thing, which I haven't submitted yet, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I did do one attempted run at getting stuff for the Maelstroms. And yes, I guess we can talk about that later as well. Apart from that, it's just usual stuff of dealing with life and quite boring stuff. outside of the game. So I think we'll move on.
Life. Don't talk to me about life.
Yeah, oh God! Don't get me sounding like Marvin again. Again. It's bad enough when some people say, "God, you really do sound like that bloody android." Oh, thanks. Anyway, development news. What have the devs said this week? Well, after several weeks of nothing, we got plenty. First of all, Frameshift Live number 31 happened on Thursday with Arf and Sally hosting the show. And we had lots of little tidbits that came through. We had Update 16. They had announced that Update 16 will be coming in the first week in August. Fingers crossed, as long as they don't have any surprises, which they did have last time for Update 15, but it was only a week.
Was 15 late? I've forgotten the history.
Yeah, it was a week late.
Oh, that's not bad, is it? We can forgive them that.
No, it's not as if they say, "Oh no, we're moving everything back 4 months," like they did 1 year.
Yeah, we can let them off a week.
Yes. So yes, Update 16 will be coming in the 1st of August. First week in August, rather. Update 17, they announced, is definitely coming, and it's coming out later this year. They've got no promises or dates, although we do suspect if they're sticking to the 3-month cycle, we're probably looking at November again. Maybe something along the lines of the first year anniversary of the Thargoid War, or Update 14.
First confirmation that there's actually going to be a 17, so that's good news, isn't it? I mean, no reason to assume not, but equally no reason to assume there might be, so
yeah,
good to know.
Yeah, and they have still promised that there is going to be the results of the study into the new feature that they're wanting to put in.
Ah, yes, the study. Mm-hmm.
We shall have to wait and see, because they're wanting to focus on the Thargoid War at the moment. We assume that's what Update 16 and 17 is going to be. They did show off the new Hunter class vessel from the Thargoids. Do we actually have a name for it?
We do, although I feel bad about saying it because poor Max somewhat
Poor Max
slightly...
went off and said Sky. Oops, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh dear! I was reminded. Is there a joke or something? But there's a thing. There's sort of a thing you do where you say, "Okay, whatever you do, don't think about elephants. Do not think about elephants." Yeah. And then you literally come out and say, "Anyway, the elephant." Oh shit! I've said it. Yeah, poor bastard.
I've got a worse one than that. We had a gentleman. We were merging companies. The head of IT from the company that was coming to merge was basically called Luigi. Mm-hmm. And all the way through the meeting, although before meeting I was going, whatever you say, don't call him Mario, don't call him Mario, don't call him Mario. Guess what? Hello Mario, how you doing? To which everyone else just creased up.
Yeah.
It's just, even to this... Yeah, even to this day, when I think about that moment, I am basically biting into my fist.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, so we're pretty confident it's called the Scythe.
It could have been a false flag.
It could.
It could have been.
It's a very clever false flag. It's very convincing.
It's up there with the Tom Hollands, I think. So we think this new class, the Scythe, in inverted commas, will be coming with Update 16. And it looks interesting because it sounds creepy, and it does scooping with what looks like the first Thargoid equivalent of limpets. So when you guys saw this, let's have a quick first impressions of everyone. What did you think, Alec? Hello?
Have we lost Alec?
I don't know.
We may have
Oh,
lost.
sorry, I'm muted. I'm such a professional. See, I really shouldn't drink whiskey sour when I'm doing the show. It's just not a good start. Right, let me try that again. Yes, what I really liked was the audio. I thought the audio was awesome, and they played it like 3 times and kept turning it up. But there was 2 brilliant sounds. There was like this really sort of deep, slow clicking sound, like a it was really creepy. And then the limpets, and I think somebody's already coined the term thimpets, literally sounded like they'd sampled a swarm of bees. I mean, it was just the sound of bees. They hadn't even processed it. It was just so yeah, fantastic audio. In a minute, maybe we'll get on to talking about what it's for, but I'll give others a chance to air their thoughts.
I thought I was going with Tharglets first, but never mind.
Yeah, Tharglets, thimpets.
Yeah.
Tharglets covered already.
No, that's Thargons.
Because Sean we've also called them Tharglets.
No, Tharglets were actually in the Dark Wheel novel, but Thargons are actually the small little
baby.
the
fighters.
Things. Yeah, the Thargoid swarms, which are basically launched. So yes, I knew I'd heard of Tharglets before, but yes, now I know. Meanwhile, yeah, Ben, what did you think? Don't tell me Ben's gone on mute as well.
Yeah, I went off and I was expecting you to keep talking a bit longer, so I went off and muted myself. And then I had to reach for the mute button again. So I think, again, this is basically our question of the week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I as I said there, I thought that a certain Mr. Dawn is getting a large supply of additional things. Apparently his services are in demand.
Fair enough. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar to Ben. It's like you're seeing them being very efficient at scooping up goodies. My question would be, what are the Thargoids doing with all the goodies that they're picking up? I'm not sure. Like, what are they going off to their own engineers at this point? What's happening? What are they building with all the parts that they're stealing?
That actually, to interject there, I mean, yes, that was my main thought. To be honest, we kind of know that Thargoids scoop up escape pods, but it always till now struck me as just like a nice detail, a bit of flavor, if you like. I mean, it's creepy and it's cool, but we haven't really found a game use for it. Like stopping them doesn't achieve much, or follow. It doesn't. It's just cool to look at, isn't it? But it doesn't seem to.
Yeah, it seemed like they were doing it as a hobby, and it's kind of gone wholesale now.
Yeah. So the fact that there's a whole new Thargoid whose purpose is literally to deploy, limpets to scoop up more escape pods. It's like, okay, surely there has to be a gameplay element coming around it now. That's my
thought. Got to be some sort of mechanic or reason for doing it. Similar to when sampling the Orpheus sort of rolled stuff back and helped out with systems.
Yeah.
Presumably interrupting this or disrupting it in some way will provide some sort of effect, and if we don't do that, then obviously there's going to be some sort of counter, presumably.
I had this vision, it would make for wonderful like bear pit footage, if nothing else, of like a battle of the limpets, with a Thargoid in one of our ships and just like a dozen of our limpets and a dozen of their limpets just fighting over all the escape pods would make awesome footage. I don't know what purpose it would serve.
Sort of Ride of the Valkyries playing in the background.
Yeah.
Takes place. Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah, something has just dawned on me with what you guys were saying there. I was like, do we know what Mr. Dawn is doing with these escape pods?
It's a family of 4.
Possibly.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. He's either wanting to rescue people out of the goodness of his heart, or basically he's interested in other people's hearts.
Running a sausage factory.
Yeah, it's
Soylent
Ask
Green.
what's in the kebab. You don't want to know.
Yes. So, yeah, I must admit I did quite like seeing this thing. Of course, the sound design was absolutely excellent. It's always nice to see what that they give us hints about what's coming. I'm hoping that that update 16 will be about the same size as update 15. So there'll be something that big hidden away in update 16. But one thing that I am scared of is that if we ever get on board the hive ship, mothership, whatever kind of ship it is, and we start walking through the corridors, that we'll come across these feeding tubes where they shove the people in and they're eaten by larvae. That's what I think.
Mutated into Thargoid bits. You get collected by a limpet and then you get turned into one.
Yes. Effectively. There's this the 1978 Battlestar Galactica had something similar in it, and that haunted me as a 6-7-year-old for quite a while. Because yeah. So the hunter, this new hunter class, will be part of the the new update 16. It was always interesting that Darren was in chat when this came out, and he said he referred to the new hunter class guide as his baby. So this should spark off a whole load of new theories that he's controlling every one of these sides, and not the liners.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he was busy going around in wedding barges shouting annoying dialogue.
Well, maybe that's what he's moved on to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know he's not in Elite Dangerous. Do we have a copy of the vid? Right. If that's the case, could Norman, could you be so kind to put that up on the theme on the stream rather?
Okay.
Right. There's one thing that looking at that footage, I did notice that the limpets seem to just swarm around it, just like the Thargons do. Do you think it's only got a set number of them?
What do you mean exactly, Con?
Well, let's say if you manage to shoot down all 8 of its limpets, because it'll probably have 8 because they're Thargoids.
It's 5 if you look at the video.
All right. Well, if you manage to shoot them down,
it looks like a pentagram, and there's 5 of them.
Yeah, I just wonder.
Saying, has it got a limited supply, and if we shoot all its limpets, have we effectively stopped it
and made it run away?
Yeah,
I mean,
and I wonder what its defensive and attack capabilities are. It sounds mean, but
I got a sneaky suspicion they'll only send this thing in if it thinks the situation is secure. I mean, we might have it with maybe a glaive or 2 running defense, but what does anybody else think?
I like the idea of it having a set number, because it's got a lot more at any one point than we can have. But we can replenish ours, and make it quite cool if it couldn't.
What is the most limpets we can control at any one time? Is it 4? Or is it? I thought it was more, actually. I thought it was quite a lot. I'm sure I've seen videos with loads, but maybe that's group mining. I suppose that's group mining.
Yeah, I think it is 4.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's 4.
Yeah, 4 collector limpets running at a time.
Little Biggin raises a good point, actually. If PDC will work, because it does look, they do look like they've got a shield on them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And Digital Druid is saying that they have 5 on their minor just now.
Oh, right, okay.
Of course, because it's probably, I'm thinking per controller, so I guess you could have multiple limpet controllers. Can you have multiple limpet controllers?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, of course you can.
I've got multiple limpet controllers on this very ship
okay.
I'm in just now.
Yeah. No, Digital Druid's just showing off. He says he can run 7 limpets at the same time. Well, nice. Can you target? Well, we can target other limpets, can we? You see someone launch. We can actually target one of someone's limpets and shoot it down if we wanted to.
I always wondered about whether you. I'm assuming you can shoot them. I suppose they're tiny, so.
Point defense cannons can take them out.
Can they? Okay. What, other people's limpets?
Oh yeah. Point defense can. If they are hostile to you, I think in that case, what happens is the point defense will fire off, and I've had my ship saved several times. When in power play, when someone's fired off a couple of limpets at me.
Okay, interesting. Of course, hatch breakers. I keep forgetting that things like hatch breakers can be used against other players. I'm so used to using them on capital ship, mega ships and things. Yeah, of course. That's what they were designed for originally, wasn't it?
It was being the pirate in the first place.
Yeah. Forgot about piracy. Bring back piracy.
Yeah. Does the EMC work on limpets as well, or is it just point defense?
Don't know.
Fair enough. Well, we'll sort that one out. We'll have a look into that later then. Right, moving on from the glaive. No, not the glaive. The scythe.
Redacted.
No, redacted. Yes. No, actually, that's an interesting point. We have to apologise to JN Tracks over the Loose Screws podcast because we've been winding him up like an old alarm clock. Honestly, he's been ready to pop for the last 2 weeks. And all about whether or not it's... Would you consider the scythe to mean it's basically... A scythe? Is a scythe a fantasy weapon? Because I keep on thinking of death, and it will be, but it's is a polearm, isn't it?
It's not even that. It's a farming implement, isn't it?
It's what you used to go and cut wheat down with, isn't it?
Now I am going to steal an idea from Loose Screws, but I just love this. I thought this was genius. So we've got the hunter. Is the scythe the gatherer? And then there's this whole hunter-gatherer train of thought that it led me down. It led me far too deep, actually, and I ended up drawing very stupid one man and his Thargoid pictures, but maybe we shouldn't go there.
I like the idea of the glaive chopping bits off of you and the other one picking you
up. There, if we can do.
Well, the thing is, you see, where my thinking was going was like you've got hunter-gatherer, and then there's probably more to come. So what's the next one going to be? So then I Googled and ended up on the word pastoral, and that led me to sheep. And then my thinking was going, well, what would sheep be? You'd have like a interceptor as the shepherd, and the and the scythe as the dog, and then
And what would the sheep kind be? Would that just be what Thargoids count at night to fall asleep?
God knows. I swear to God, if anyone's looking at that picture, I spent far too long. Honestly, I hadn't been drinking or anything, but it was just, sometimes your thought patterns go a certain way. Seemed very funny to me at the time, but it looks like absolute madness now.
Yes. Someone needs to go over to Alex and bring him the white coat. It's a nice white coat, Alec. Don't worry. Just put your arm through here. Thank you. Yeah. We had Tom Cool on the Frameshift Live as well. And what was the graduate the graduate programmer. What was his name? Max.
That would be Max.
Yeah, Max.
I didn't catch his last name, but it would be Max.
So we had Tom and Max, and they were discussing a lot of the mechanics that were involved that's going to be involved in 16, without actually letting any of the plot go. Well done, guys. I thought that was quite good. But one of the things they did discuss was an awful lot of the remnant missions, where how difficult it was to do that. And one of the things that really excited me was the fact that they actually had coded it so that you could have someone basically flying point defense in a ship, so that if basically someone was in trouble and they had brought in reinforcements, the person in the ship could actually take out the reinforcements, and they'd put in contingencies for all that, which I thought was well thought out.
It's a lovely idea, isn't it? And it's a shame, it set me thinking about why in practice as players we just don't do these things. They're just, for whatever reason, they're just kind of not necessary. I mean, obviously, there is gameplay for a ship to take out the reinforcing scouts while the players on ground, but in practice you just kind of don't need to, do you? It's quite difficult. I guess game design is quite difficult. It's quite difficult to build a game where that's necessary and fun and works. Where you get to these settlements, you think, right, in order to complete this mission, what I really need is an escort in a ship, and the ship will do this, and I'll do that, and that's But in practice, we don't do it, do we?
No, we don't. Although I must admit, there was a couple of times when me, Ben, and the legendary Ralph, we tried that, didn't we? We were trying to do some of those guard the MacGuffin things, and me and Ralph were on the ground, and you were flying about in a ship.
How did it play? Was it fun? I mean, or was it?
It worked, except the fact that we were useless.
About 2 seconds.
What, in your ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just taking my ship down.
Was that because
very badly hurt by the anti-aircraft stuff?
Okay, because that's really interesting, Ben. Because recently, in the latest 15.02,
yeah, they said they
increased the time, didn't they?
Yeah.
So what they're thinking is, okay, the ground troops go in and they disable the guns, and then now they've increased the time, so that gives you 5 minutes instead of 2 minutes.
It gives you a bit longer to. Yeah.
It's 10 minutes now.
So they're trying, they're fixing bugs to make this kind of sphere of combat thing work.
Yeah, I mean, I am a full believer in spaceships giving support to ground troops, giving support to people in tanks or scarabs and things. That is a very, very important and awesome and great thing.
Yeah, I'd love.
The only thing I wish we could have gravity bombs in Elite. If we get this whole sphere of combat thing going, I would love a gravity bomb.
You know what I want to do is that as soon as I fly over one of these sites and you've got players all running around trying to shoot each other, I want to fly over one of those sites and just jettison a whole 32 tons of bio waste out the back and see how many people I squish when they all.
I wonder if you can squish people with canisters. That would be fun as well.
Oh no, you can do. I'm sure you can do. I think that's an experiment for next time. We're going to need someone to volunteer, Ben, to stand in a place, and people will try and hit him with canisters and see whether it has physical damage.
It'll have to be high G, otherwise these things will just float to the ground and gently bounce off his helmet. And
well, no, because if you think about it, you could dive bomb it.
Oh, I suppose so.
Mm.
Yeah, it's.
We can try different options. We can throw lots of bio waste at them.
We're going for mass drivers, essentially.
Effectively, yes.
What I've often thought, I've not got around to doing it. It's sort of on my list of things to do. That is to make a video, effectively, 100 ways to die in Elite Dangerous, and really just start thinking outside the box of amusing ways to kill people, and then just get video footage of each and every one.
So yeah, there's something to put out to people. First person to see to die by a canister of bio waste, I think, deserves a prize.
I was going to say, hold on, let me see. No. Let me see if there's anywhere I can actually land here. And if anybody wants to come and shoot me, and dive bomb me with bio waste, they can do.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm to everyone on the live stream. I'm in VUK URBEH system, and I'm now looking for somewhere to go in it.
Excellent. That sounds a fantastic idea. And do we have any skins left over to hand out as prizes? Because I think
we do actually. We've got a couple of things that have been unclaimed.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, if you can do a Dam Busters on Ben with a bouncing bio waste, I think we'll have an absolute winner.
You know, I'm gonna whoever they are. If they send me a PM in game, I'll invite them to the party. Because I want to find somewhere that's actually in the sun to give them a good chance.
It's quite hard. It's going to be like trying to bullseye womp rats.
Exactly.
But they're only 2 meters wide, and I'm sure that Ben is a lot wider than 2 meters.
Maybe in reality I am, but not in game.
I'm sorry, Ben. I didn't mean it. I was going for the cheap gag. I do apologise. Sorry. Right, moving on from there. Tom was also discussing about doing some comparisons, actually, with some Halo devs who were talking about how things have adding things with a specific purpose to their game. For example, there's only at one time only one sniper rifle in Halo because there's only one sniper role. So it's like roles, you need equipment for certain roles, and that's all the equipment you need for that role. But the minute changes they have to do in order to get what that role feels like is phenomenal. Because sometimes you get it first time, very, very rarely, but then sometimes it feels better 0.01% of a second later. You know, there's a delay between the two shots or things like that. So
yeah, I bet it's really. I mean, it sounded. I was fascinated actually. If anyone knows, I should do some googling. If anyone knows the video that Tom was referring to, I'd be quite curious to watch it actually, because I find that kind of stuff fascinating. You have things you take for granted as the player of a game, and then you realise just how much effort and fine tuning goes into making something. The difference between something working and it not working, in terms of feel as a player. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here. Don't worry, I'll bring it back. But in the other game, the citizens that are flying around stars, there was somebody high up did a presentation to Manchester University about game design. And one of the things that he was actually discussing was the kind of thing about, listening to feedback coming back from the forums and then comparing it to their metrics that they're getting back from the game. And they're finding out that no matter who's shouting loudest on the forums, that's not what the metrics are telling them.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? You can't lie with the metrics. When somebody on the forum says, everybody is dying in elevators, and it turns out only 7 people all week died in an elevator. It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I just found it fascinating that sort of the metrics seem to be so different from the way that people were portraying things on the forums. Yeah. Yes, well, I'll bring it back now, but we'll bring it back to the forums because the Galnet News Roundup by Paul was put out on the forums. We had 2 weeks of 2 weeks of Paul's unique take with the Galnet. Yes, we'll just point you in the direction of it. We're not going to spoil it for you because it is full of Paul goodness.
I actually completely missed this one. I need to go back and reread it because it's always great stuff.
In addition to that, Frameshift Live, they have now planned out and published the schedule for all the Frameshift Lives for the rest of the year. So we're looking at July the 20th, August the 17th, September the 14th, October the 5th, November the 23rd, and Friday and December the 14th, which will be the holiday special. So that's one all planned out.
Yeah, October the 5th, Halloween season begins, so I guess that'll be paint jobs, won't it? I suppose that's the usual.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've got anything else in mind. Didn't we get a treasure hunt?
We did.
Last Halloween.
We did, and
Was
there's
that
also
the Master?
Yes.
Yes,
Well, that was 1
good
year.
Stuff, actually. That was good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 1 year, and it was great. It was quite spooky, especially the way it ended. In addition, those of you who had Steam installed may have noticed that there was a massive update and upheaval amongst your files on Monday. Now, this was mostly due to the fact that Frontier had now switched Elite Dangerous' default mode over to Live, which meant that if you had not installed Live and you had Legacy installed, what would have happened? It would have wiped your game, put Live on your machine, and then on top of that, if you still wanted to go back to Legacy, you'd have to download Legacy again and then delete Live. Yeah, it seemed to be a bit of a long-winded way to do it, but I guess from now on,
I mean, we touched on it on the show because obviously, if you buy, if you buy Odyssey on Steam as a brand new player, then it's a bit much to not get the live game, which I think was the previous situation. I think people were still getting Legacy, which is obviously wrong. But the fix, I don't know if it's out of Frontier's hands and how much is it's just Steam making it difficult. But the fix is a bit drastic. I'm seeing a lot of aggro salt on the forums. It speaks exactly to what you were just saying, Colin, about the metrics. Maybe in practice it's like 3 incidents, but if you read the forums, it sounds like everyone is having an absolute freaking nightmare with Steam. Removing the game or installing the game twice, or people that have been already playing Odyssey having to wait half an hour while it reinstalls it again.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how to call it, whether it's bad or not. It sounds quite bad.
Yeah, it was. I must admit, I was there with my Steam library on Monday, and when the update hit, I was halfway through downloading the latest patch for Cyberpunk 2077, and of course that means everything was happening at once. So I just sort of had to walk away from the computer for half an hour because they were all competing with one another. So yeah, that was fun. But yes, so the upshot of
So what was your situation? So you already had Odyssey installed on Steam?
Yeah, I have Odyssey.
Reinstalled it?
No, it verified it.
Oh, okay.
So I got a sneaking suspicion. It's still got to. It doesn't download the file. It just checks to see that you've got the latest file, but it still has to do a lot of toing and throwing back to the server.
Yeah.
Elvis Crowman in the chat room saying, "Well, I'm afraid that's how Steam works, sadly," which is a bit of a pain. So yeah,
I didn't really follow it, and I don't know how much this was just a minority shouting loudly, but there was I saw a lot of discussion on the forum about the fact that something to do with Odyssey being marked as DLC affecting the way Steam treats it. I don't know what to
I
make
can
of
imagine it being annoying if you've only got a limited bit of playtime. Like I said, the intro, like I've got, I don't get that much time to play in game, and if you log in and you suddenly have the hankering for Elite and the pop-up appears saying, yeah, you've got 30 minutes to go, you'd be like, oh, well, that was my playtime for tonight then.
I mean, it's only a day, but yeah, I did get it.
Yeah, well, let's have some sympathy for Commander Turkarov, because he's basically got Elite Dangerous on Steam on 3 separate PCs, which meant he needed to download 54 gigabytes plus a 10 gigabyte download for each of them. So, yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's a good job they don't charge by. Yeah, he's saying he's lost
It's a
about
good job we're not in America.
Yes, it's not charged by the megabyte. It's not charged by the megabyte or things like that. Says it. Go on.
Does anyone know if you could have made a backup of your Elite Dangerous live, your Elite Dangerous Legacy app, made a zip of that, go off and do the whole please go and update thing, then interrupt it quickly and then reslide in your backup to say, no, don't download it, I've got the whole bloody thing here.
No, I don't think they could do that. What you could have done is instead of re-downloading Legacy, restore your backup and verify the files.
Yeah, so that's what's running. You know, it's not going to stop you from downloading live. You know, we have to accept you got live, but if you did want to go back to Legacy,
without having to download it again, yeah. I guess you could have done that.
I would have assumed you could do that, but I don't know.
But no, it still would have asked you to verify your files, which probably would have taken and.
But it's going to save
not a huge amount. Yeah. So yes, so that's been all the development news in Elite Dangerous this week. Quite a lot.
There is one thing.
Is that what I was about to say about Sandro?
Well, you were saying that's everything, and I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, just have a little faith here. Have a little faith.
You don't normally do one more things. For God's sake, you bloody apple.
Finally, I was going to
you Steve Jobs next.
Jeez. I'm just trying to get a word in edgeways now before he starts really ranting off on one. For those of you who are interested to know what happened to Sandro Samarco, Sandy was actually on the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin stream, which was happening earlier in the week. So I don't think the Space Loach was involved because it probably would be considered a heretic and purged. So yes.
I don't know my Warhammer non-40k lore, but does normal Warhammer have heresy?
Normal Warhammer?
Yeah.
As in
well, it's not 40k.
Oh, you mean the fantasy one?
Yeah.
Well, they do have Witchfinders, which is pretty much the same as in Inquisitors. But yeah, because they do have these characters that go looking for chaos.
Yeah, I like Lennon's idea. The Chaos Loach is confirmed.
Yeah.
I think I'm the Chaos Loach, aren't I?
Oh yeah, and finally there is one final thing. Frontier published their results for last year, or their interim results rather. Elite Dangerous didn't get a mention, but as far as the company was concerned, it made a slight profit this year, despite having to bite approximately £7 million worth of development cost from Odyssey. They still actually made about £1 million profit. However, that's quite disappointing for the stock market because they were expecting quite a bit more, and there has been problems with the F1 game. So hopefully F1 2023 will be better for them. And that's been announced for sometime in July.
Ouch.
End of July, actually. So, yeah, as far as the rest of the company is concerned, they're still cash rich. They still have plenty of reserves. They've made a slight profit this year, but they're hoping that now that they've bitten the big one with Odyssey, then hopefully next year will be a lot rosier. So, yeah. It just kind of goes to show how much they had to put aside for console versions and so on, that it just kind of showed how much it missed, really.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're still seeing the after effects of that.
Even now, yeah. So, I think we will move away from the development news and Frontier onto the community news about what the community has been up to. Well, first off, we will wave to the High Wake, who have come out with a brand new animated short called Materials. So yes.
Beautiful stuff as always. Is this the one at the Guardian site? I can't
Yes, it is.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, the high week. Well, let's give them a wave. Well done. Also, we have during the Izamani expedition, the Independent Explorers Association hosted their first mountain climbing tour, which took place at some of the most breathtaking mountains in the region. We have a link in the YouTube for the YouTube at Mountains of Dreams hiking in Azani. So we've put a link in the show notes for that. I think that's it really is quite impressive what they've managed to do there.
It's a lovely video, isn't it? I don't know if you've watched it. I haven't, but what I really liked, which you don't see much of, is it really there's lots of footage of like maybe 3 or 4 commanders in SRVs, and I think you've got a mixture of SRVs, so you've got scabs and scorpions, and maybe half a dozen or so commanders on foot as well, and they're all just sort of running up mountains together, and it's just really beautiful sort of footage of this wonderfully diverse community just having a bloody good day out. I loved it. Yeah, it's really good.
Excellent. Well, we'll move on to the next thing, and that is the buckyball. Now, I tried this route. I first of all reconnoitered it and tried to work out what the best way was to fly the route. I then had 2 attempts and failed miserably on both, as anybody who watched my Twitch streams over the weekend found out. But Alec, it's been a fun one. This one, I think this one's been the most enjoyable so far this year.
I really think this is one of the all-time classic buckyball races. I just think it was absolute genius. And what I hadn't initially realised, so a bit of a confession, but when I plan a buckyball race, I don't know, I come up with a concept, and then I will trial it, and I'll visit it, and I'll make sure that it can be done in 30 minutes or less, because any more and it's too much of a demand on people. But things like jump distances and whether or not they happen to be just slightly less than the route plotter will allow, that all falls out as coincidences with my race. But what I'm sort of learning is that Sker planned this race in meticulous detail. He's posted a thread on the forum recently. There's so many beautiful things about this race. So on the face of it, it's 6 structures scattered across 5 systems.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to fly through things in all of the 6 structures. But then you have all these lovely wrinkles. So one is that 2 of those structures are in pairs. There are 2 installations in one system, and there in another system has both a capital ship and a station with a ring you have to fly under.
Yeah.
Now, this is all deliberate. So what's really cool is that the Empire capital ship and the station are close enough that it's worth super cruising from one to the other. But the 2 installations in the Tierna Nog system, it's not. You're better off jumping to one of the other waypoints and then coming back to do the other installation. That's faster than the super cruise, which takes ages. So that was carefully planned. And actually a really cool thing happened. I think it was on Thursday or Friday. One of the racers spotted that because the 2 installations in Tierna Nog were orbiting different planets,
mm-hmm.
for a day the planets came into alignment such that suddenly the supercruise between them was faster than jumping to a different system, which that was just a beautiful bit of synchronicity, or sort of, what's the word when it's slightly random but beautiful. Another thing that was really interesting for the regulation class is that the regulation Cobra's laden range is about 24 light years.
Yes.
And that is the range that the route plot. Well, the route plotter doesn't take into account fuel.
No, it doesn't.
If the Cobra's empty of fuel, running on fumes, it can actually jump a good bit over 26 light years. And one of the systems, and this was very carefully planned, two of the systems rather, were 25.8 light years apart.
Yeah.
So in the Cobra, if you plotted a route between those, it would say 2 jumps. But if you were cunning and did it halfway through your run, for example, when your fuel tank was half empty, you could do that in 1. And then having done it in 1, it left you with very little fuel. So then you had to scoop, which is quite slow.
Yes.
Oh, there were so many trade-offs. It was just beautiful. Hats off to Sker for planning this. It's a work of genius, and it was bloody good fun.
I managed to join for the first time the 1% Club.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, I boosted through one of the tunnels, clipped it, and went spinning out the other end.
Yes, there was lots of spinning. I have some great stats actually that Sker sent out today. So he had.
Oh, excellent! Let's hear them.
Right, here we go. He had 108 submissions from 36 separate races.
Wow, is that the highest so far?
It's one of the highest. Yeah, I think Sulu had a lot for. I can't remember what he did now. What was Sulu's race? Anyway, the first one, I think it was, had over 100. That meant that there was about 1,150 screenshots to be examined and judged. There were 55% of the submissions were in the unlimited class and 45% were in regulation.
Okay.
There were 27 final times on the regulation board, 17 of which attempted the trench run. So for those that don't know, the trench run was something that the Newton's Gambit flight assist off people tend to do as a little practice thing where you run through one of the inner structures of a rotating Coriolis. I had brief discussions with Sker before the race, or he sort of reached out to me, and we were trying to decide if it was too difficult, should we include it, should we not include it. It ended up being an optional feature, but absolutely delighted. So many people gave it a go. 17 of the 27 in regulation attempted it, and 15 of the 26 in unlimited attempted it.
I attempted it and failed it. Yes.
How many goes did you give it? Because
I gave it about two attempts.
Yeah, it's hard.
I just couldn't get the angle right in order to fly down that trench.
It's because the damn thing's rotating as well, so you're sort of fighting its. Yeah.
And I was doing all this in VR, which is it's amazing that when I got up close to the ship, the station in VR, how much detail there actually still is.
Oh, it's amazing.
When you get that close, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. And I was going to do this at the end, but we'll include this in the show notes. But Commander Homburger has a fantastic blog which he's been maintaining, and he's done write-ups for a great many of our races now, and they're always really good and really descriptive. We'll put a link in for this one, but this one is entitled "You Are Required to Maneuver Straight Down This Trench," and it's like a sort of classic commander's tale of being relatively new to buckyball and trying things that he's never tried before. It's a really good read. But we'll put that.
Yes.
Shall I give the final scores before we move on?
Please do. What are the scores on the doors?
So
I can't believe I said that. I really can't believe I said that.
I was going to zoom in on the picture in the show notes, now I realised it doesn't zoom, so let me find it elsewhere. In regulation class, in first place in regulation class, we have Osric. Osric's a big fan of regulation. He tends to favour the regulation rather than picking any old ship. Great to see him come first. 16 minutes, 16 seconds was his adjusted time, which is ludicrous. He did a trench run, but he didn't do. Oh, there was the other bonus, which is called the Turner tactical bonus, where you had to do a sort of backflip and fly backwards through one of the things. He only got 20 seconds for that, and that was a very risky maneuver. I think I found that. I think everyone roughly said that was the hardest thing to pull off. Anyway, yeah. So first place Osric, second place was Kevin the Stabber, who I see we have in chat. Bravo, Kevin the Stabber.
Bravo, Kevin.
Third place was Brusky, and just missing out on the podium in fourth place was Reiko. And in Unlimited, at number 1, no massive surprise, it's Shay Blackwood, flying the fabulous Viper Mark III. 12
The
minutes.
nice.
I mean, 12 minutes, 16 seconds. It's just, I don't understand.
It's like Verstappen, but nicer.
It's like when you get to the top end of these leaderboards, you know, the top 10, say top 5 maybe. It's seconds between the times because everyone's, you know, done 20 runs over the course of the week, 30 runs, God knows, you know, and they're honing off seconds at this point. So then in Unlimited, you've got Shay on 12 minutes 16 in first place. And then in second place is Aken Bosch, who's over 1 minute and 10 seconds behind. So how Shay goes faster, a minute faster than his nearest competitor is just mind-boggling.
At least he didn't do it this time in an Orca.
Yes, he did it in a proper racing ship. Second place was Aken Bosch, 13 minutes. Third place was Brusky again. And just again narrowly missing out on the podium was Reiko again. So 2 Vipers, 2 Imperial Couriers, and then a host of fabulous other ships. Anything stupid? Oh yes, we have an Orca. Disemboweled Ego from he tends to hang out with Ghost Giraffe.
Right.
He did it in an Orca, which is quite impressive.
So yeah, 17 minutes 48. So wow. It's just the thought of getting the Orca through those blooming tunnels.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interference fit, I think is the engineering term.
Yeah, but the tunnel bends and the ship doesn't. Oh dear.
Anyway,
I
great
see
race,
that,
and I think
yeah.
the championship points leaderboards will be up tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody on the 1 point club as usual. Right. Well, moving on from there, we have Commander Das Jav has released a little teaser for the little SRV animation. I haven't had a chance to see this. Has anybody else?
I've had a little watch of it. Sorry.
No, it's right.
No,
Yeah, I
carry
literally
on.
clicked. I literally just clicked on the link as I was reading the show notes. I've seen tiny teasers of this, so I've seen pictures on his Twitch. So for people that I don't think he's done one for a while, but people that might have forgotten, Das Jav does these lovely little hand-drawn, 2D hand-drawn cartoons of the little SRV. Been doing it for a couple of years, I think. And then he's been teasing these 3D models that he's obviously been constructing of an SRV in, I don't know, would it be Blender? Somebody more technically minded than me might be able to know what he's doing them in. But yes, he's released a little animated teaser today, so it looks like he's moving to 3D for the little SRV, which is very exciting.
Excellent. And the final bit we have is the Burr Pit. For those of you who already know, as Alex said earlier, they've got their PitCon convention or get together, which is in September. They have now just published the itinerary of what they're planning on doing. So there'll be Commander Tokuso there doing actually live music. There'll be miniatures games. They've got Starship Simulators devs turning up because they're showing their new game, which is basically I think the best way to describe it is Bridge Crew but unofficial.
Interesting. Oh, is it going to be like a multi-workstation game, a bit like?
I was under the impression it was.
Is that the one that I suggested that we try sometime, Colin?
It's in alpha at the moment, I think.
Yeah, it's in alpha at the moment. It's got, if I remember correctly, it's got quite a nice looking Jupiter and things like that. It looks very much like Star Trek, but it's not quite Star Trek.
Well, it can be Star Trek because of
legal reasons. Yes.
Yes, but there's something. Bridge Crew apparently got an update the other day.
I thought they cancelled it.
So did I, but apparently it just turns out they were just updating some music.
Okay.
I got all excited thinking, oh, we got another reason to go back in, but no. So, right, we'll have a quick ad break and then we'll come back with the in-game events.
Get ready. L-A-V-E
There's bargains, bargains,
Radio.
bargains at Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium haven't just been slicing carcasses, but also slicing their prices. All unspecified meat sausages now 2 for the price of 1. A pack of assorted meat steaks, now with 50% more meat at half the price. How about chops? Our surprising meat chops now also 50% off. And introducing our massive meat hamper. It's a family of 4. No, that should say feeds a family of 4, right?
Stick to the script, Claire. It says it's a family of 4.
Okay, I'll stick to the script.
Yeah, you do that.
It's a family of 4. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Find us in the Lave Business Directory or visit us next to the station mortuary. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. You'll wonder how our prices are so low.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere, and they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow, the bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Aries Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy.
And welcome back. Well, we're going to touch on the in-game events of what's been happening this week, and I'm afraid to say not much. On Thursday, the 15th of June, Aegis and Azimuth started their CG for competing for Titan samples. Yes, this is the CG that we're all waiting for. We knew that it was coming. As soon as you saw those samples on the Titan, you thought that's going to be part of a CG. However, it's not had the take-up that a lot of people were expecting. I know that I've still got to get in and actually get some.
It's an interesting experiment, I think. I mean, when we talked about it on last week's show, I sort of threw in that they'd probably, often when they do CGs, there's a mixed bag of things that for a delivery CG, there's a mixed bag of things you need, and some of them are harder to get than others. But so I'd sort of suggested that, well, we'll probably have Titan tissue samples because that's fun. But I sort of just assumed they'd throw in some easier to get things as well. But no, it is purely Titan tissue samples. So it's fascinating because normally I did, I had a look on Inara and places like that, and normally CGs get between 1,000, 2,500 contributors, maybe over the course of the week. And I think the Aegis one is currently on 400.
Yeah, 474 contributors to the Aegis one at the moment, and 321, but on the other one. But I mean, those could be doublers as well.
Yes, true. Because you don't. It's not one of these things. Well, Elite Dangerous has never had. As soon as you choose one side, you can't choose the other. It's always you've always had the option to do both.
Yeah, shame. True, but shame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm kind of with you on this one, Alec. Sorry, Colin, you were about to speak.
No problem.
I'm kind of with you, Alec, on this one, where the sort of limiting it to the Titan samples makes it awful difficult to contribute. I also think people are probably hoarding a lot of their Titan samples that they've got, just in case they're going to be required for some sort of unlock down the line.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like probably the bigger numbers. What's the contribution? So the people that are contributing top 10 commanders are between 459 and 2,000.
Jesus, how?
They probably already hoarded them, right? They probably already had a load piled up, and they've just.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's one where it's one where you can store it on the fleet carrier, isn't it?
Yeah. It's tricky, right? I mean, you've got so in my. I mean, I'm just doing this in the Chieftain, but I've only got 16 tons of. Sorry, units. We're not allowed to use tons anymore. Units of corrosion-resistant cargo. So I'm going out with 16 limpets, and I'm coming out, if I'm lucky, with 16 samples. So after 3 days, I think I'm on 36 samples delivered.
Oh, Jesus.
So how you get into the hundreds? I mean, obviously bigger ship, I suppose, but.
Yeah, well, the problem is, of course, these things are corrosive as well. I mean, the numbers are low because this is a difficult one to do.
Well, let's compare experiences. So
okay,
I've been really enjoying it, but
yeah, we see the problem is I have been getting glaved left, right, and centre. So by the time I get into the maelstrom itself, I'm already really frustrated. And my patience has gone. And the main problem that I've got after that point is then, first of all, I have only got 4 tons of non-corrosive or corrosive-proof cargo racks.
Right.
I don't have the 16-ton the 16-ton cargo bay that you can use. If I wanted to do that, then I wouldn't be able to contribute at all, because I've got to go then and do the whole meta alloy run in order to get them and come back. Which was
when I did my whole adventure of getting into the maelstrom, which I started months ago. I suppose when I sort of saw this coming and sort of thought, okay, the maelstrom's where it's at. That was the first thing I did actually. Was I thought, okay, let's get the big corrosion-resistant cargo racks.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there's the difficulty of actually getting out again.
Yes,
because there was one time I was making an escape. I had 4 tons on me, which is the most I could have. I was running out of limpets left, right, and centre. Almost got out of the cloud. Got hit by one of the caustic generators. Boom! That was it. Yeah. So that was basically start to finish of an hour, just gone, wasted.
Yeah.
And don't get me started on the bloody glaives, because originally I thought, okay, interesting. I'm enjoying having the challenge of these glaives. Now I'm just finding them bloody tiresome. Just trying to escape them it's such a frustrating experience. So,
do you know what the glaive reminds me of?
A really bad suppository.
Let's not go back there again. What the glaive reminds me of when you get caught by one, and I really think I've got around the glaives now. But when you get caught by glaive, what it reminds me of is when you get caught in the exclusion zone of a white dwarf star, because you're effectively, unless you're pretty lucky, faced with a good 10-minute long death. And you can fight and you can spend those 10 minutes desperately boosting and or you can just pick self-destruct but whatever you do, it's really frustrating because you just think, there's nothing I can do to get out of this situation, and it goes on and on. It's like a really slow, painful death. So the one time I did get caught doing this, and I'll come on to why I genuinely think I'm not getting caught anymore. Well, actually, no. Sorry, let me do that now. Actually, so as I've mentioned on the show several times, I mean, maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but it is working for me. The minute I drop out of either an interdiction or a hyperdiction, I mean, my fingers on the trigger, and the minute I see normal space spinning around me, I hit that trigger and go straight to silent running and hit boost. It's like silent running boost, and I just don't get caught by glaives. And the only time I got caught was when I didn't know for sure if it was a glaive, and I did a few boosts and my temperature was going up, and I thought, rather than waste a heat sink, I'll just come out of silent running now because I'm only another boost away from being able to jump.
Yeah.
And the minute I came out of silent running, they were on me and they shot me with a missile, and my FSD was down, and I was into that long, slow, painful death. But otherwise, I've just been silent running boost and not being troubled by them.
So basically, is it silent running boost, and then that's it?
No, so actually, it's a series of boosts, and you need to watch the temperature. And after about my third boost in my chieftain, maybe fourth, my temperature's nudging over 100. At which point I tend to hit a heat sink, and then I'll do a couple more boosts, and I'll only come out of silent running literally just as my frame shift driver's cooled down, and I'm going to initiate the jump.
Right, gotcha. Okay, that's something that I've got to practice, because I'm getting caught by the glaives. They're hitting me with the lightning, and that's as soon as I'm hit with the lightning, that's it. I'm just basically might as well just go back to the beginning.
I will say, on that long, slow death, the way I've found to make it tolerable is to accept your fate and go into the camera suite and spend the next 5 minutes trying to get good screenshots of yourself being destroyed by a glaive. It makes the time go much quicker.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Death by photograph. Ben?
So, I mean, okay, I've managed to get myself a zero shield ship, but I did manage to kill a glaive.
Nice.
Now, I was... Yeah, I am not... My ship is not able to fly around in the Maelstrom for a prolonged period of time. But I got myself into the thing and I was like, bollocks, I'm interdicted by a glaive. Sod it, let's just give it a shot. And I did manage to kill the glaive, which I was quite happy about. And I think, my ship is normally hovering around about its native temperature is about 17%.
Yeah, that should be fine.
So I do think it was having problems finding me. And then I've got my beam lasers to be the I shoot you and I cool down thing.
Yeah. Long range thermal vent.
Yeah. So I've got that. And then my other things are AXE. So I do think it was having problems finding me, and I did manage to kill it. I got hurt, and I was, not... I mean, I was already basically... I accepted the fact that my ship did not have the room to... One of the things I'm going to have to figure out with this ship is how the hell I actually get to the Maelstrom, even from a fleet carrier. Because I've got very, very low jump range and no fuel scoopy thing on it. So that's something I'll have to figure out at some point. But I was like, okay, I can get to Tanaris, and I need to collect some mats and things like that. So I'll try and do that. Then they can go into my infinite pockets of holding, and I'll die, and I'll rinse repeat, just trying to get my stuff up. And then that's when I went off and found out that I did manage to get it, and I don't know if I've done anything wrong or right with this ship. It is a Mamba. I've got very low hull. I know that. And I think I arrived at the Maelstrom with basically enough petrol for one jump, and I was 2 jumps away. But it's like I got interdicted 2 times on the way there, like quantum interdicted kind of thing. So of course that goes off and means that I don't have any bloody petrol anyway.
Yeah, it's impossible to do those things without a fuel scoop.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 2 jumps away, and I need basically I'm hyperdicted every time, and then I'm interdicted at least twice. I have taken on glaives before, but I've always been outnumbered 2 to 1, and that's
okay. This was only one. It was only a 1 to 1.
Yeah, and that's what my problem is, because if I'm up against 2 glaives, please, I'm double teamed.
Yeah, I mean, I basically the only reason I attacked it was because I was like, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. Basically, yeah, I ain't gonna get back home anyway, so I might as well just go out shooting this thing. But what I'm not understanding, and this, I know I need to go and get the. Oh, I can't remember the things.
You need the caustic generators, don't you?
You need the pulse. You absolutely need the pulse wave neutralizer, or you ain't getting in.
Yeah. I need to get the stuff to get that, and I haven't got that. But I need to get the caustic removal thingy bobbers.
Caustic
sinks. Yeah, the caustic sinks.
So I was like, okay, let's try and get the stuff to get the caustic sinks was my goal.
Yeah,
because the pulse generator, that's just credits. You don't have to actually scoop anything for it.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I want to try and get the stuff to get caustic sinks, and I was just, I wasn't living long enough in the Maelstrom, long enough to even do that.
It is difficult because it was the trouble that I was having when Update 15 first came out. It was because basically I was behind. I hadn't done any of the Maelstrom stuff at all.
Yeah.
So I was in exactly the same position 4 weeks ago, and the main problem was with it is that because I haven't got a fleet carrier, I've got nowhere to drop this stuff off.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
So
and
basically,
I flatly refused to get a fleet carrier for this, even if I had the money for it, which I haven't. I mean, I could have, but as like I don't. It's an area of the game I don't believe in, and I know I'm shooting myself in the foot. I accept that, but I don't believe in it. I think
One thing that you could actually do is appeal onto the forums to say, is there anybody with a fleet carrier out there that has these things that I need?
Oh, can I buy them off them? Can I buy them off people, or something?
I don't know. Can you actually buy that off someone?
You can buy something. So when I was doing this whole path, I 2 things I discovered actually was there were certain materials or things that I needed. Was it Metran? I can't remember, but all sorts of things you need. The first thing I discovered, which was really obvious, and will sound so stupid when I say it, but it had never occurred to me that Odyssey settlements. I always thought Odyssey settlements were places where you landed to go and do missions and get out on foot and shoot people.
No, but they've also got trade. Some of them have got trade markets.
Yeah, they've got commodity markets. So the first thing I needed, I can't remember what it was. It was one of the materials for these caustic things, and I went to Inara and just did or was it EDDB? Yeah, show me where's the nearest place I can buy them.
EDDB is down. So
yes, I know. It might have been pre EDDB, but anyway. Yeah, the place I could buy them happened to be a settlement, which was a bit of a... hadn't really occurred to me to buy stuff at settlements. And then the second place I went to get some other stuff was it recommended a fleet carrier.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've never really thought of looking up fleet carriers for things, but...
Zanara will tell you that as well. If you go nearest place to buy stuff, it'll
I know. I was needing materials that you get from shooting the little things that fart in your face, basically.
That's the caustic generators, yeah.
Yeah, them. Yeah. So I need to go and shoot them, get the stuff that shoots off of them, scoop that up, and get out was what I think I needed to do.
Yeah.
Well,
Tissue sampling them is the hard bit, really.
Pardon?
Tissue sampling them is kind of the hard bit, really.
That is the hard bit. You leave that bit to last. What you can do is you can.
So are they things that once they go into, are they proper samples that you?
They're cargo.
That's cargo.
Yeah, proper
so you
cargo.
can't, right. Yeah, I don't think I wasn't doing that. I was deliberately just trying to get the materials, and I was sucking at even that.
I normally found that actually I lost about 5 clippers doing this. Is basically I flew in there and basically sampled until I died, just getting the materials.
That was my kind of thinking, yeah.
Yeah, because basically I wasn't going to do the trip back again because it was.
And it goes into your bag of holding, so you're fine.
Yeah. So, but once you've got that out of the way and you've got to actually take the physical cargo back, that's when it becomes squeaky bum time. Because
that's the tricky thing I'm finding with this CG now and getting in and out of the maelstrom is because we now have, with the Titan scanner, can't remember its name, but the thing I mean. Basically, it means so my 4 utility slots are now a heatsink, which I kind of need because of glaive evasion and boosting with silent running, and so that comes in pretty handy. And because of the heat generation, when you push through the pulse, that gets pretty hot. So you need your heatsink, and then you've got your corrosion-resistant cargo. A caustic sink.
Yes.
You've got the
normally engineered.
Yeah. You've got the pulse neutralizer. And you have I've missed one.
The Titan scanner.
Yeah. Titan scanner. So with the Titan scanner, it meant I could only have one caustic heatsink launcher, which gives me 7 sinks, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm finding is that to get into the Titan and out again takes just a little bit more than that. I've done it numerous times now, and I can get in, and I'm just starting to fill up my 3rd one, and then by the time I'm out, the last one runs out, which means by the time I'm out of the
can you burn yourself then?
Yes. So by the time I'm out of the maelstrom with all my lovely tissue samples that I've collected over the last hour, my ship is taking caustic damage, and I have no sinks left to deal with it. So that's the last squeaky bum moment on every single run I've done. Is I've then had to. You just need to calmly, target a system, put on silent running, engage the jump, let the temperature shoot up to 150, turn off silent running. Proper heatsink, but it's just a little bit of tension right at the end of a very long gaming session that you sort of almost don't need.
Sean is saying you can actually restock the caustic sink launchers via synthesis if you've got the. You didn't know that.
You didn't know that. Never occurred to me.
This week's noob of the week is.
Oh, what a plum! Thanks, Sean.
The noob of the week.
That's not the official name of it. I can't remember. What's the official name of it again?
That makes
mostly clueless.
That's it, mostly clueless. Thank you, Chris.
Commander Vinci says, "Well, I was going to say, but I've normally had as a backup a caustic, a decon limpet. So if
right.
I've normally kept one of those limpets back for just when I've cleared the cloud, and then I hit one of the decom limpets, which does effectively the same thing, but without toasting my ship. And then it's the run out of the maelstrom, and hoping I don't get glaved again, because by then I've got no heat sinks.
You're normally safe. I mean, well, for me, the route. So what I ended up doing was I picked the maelstrom that was closest to the CG hand-in point. I think it might be an Oya. It is 5k LS out, which is a bit of a pain. But and what I found was that the 2 jumps I had to do back to the megaship where you handed in were both non-Thargoid systems. So once I was out of the maelstrom, I was safe from glaive attacks, basically. I guess it depends where your jumps are back to where you're going to hand them in.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think we're going to leave the the trouble with the CG and how difficult it is. At the moment, as of Tuesday, Aegis are winning by quite a large margin, or Aegis, from Azimuth, and quite rightly so. Not that I'm biased in any way or form.
And according to Alec, that's despite Azimuth having the nicer skin.
Yes.
Where did we see the skins? I was looking for that.
Where did I see it? I can't remember where I saw it now. Did Frontier do a tweet? Sorry, I can't remember.
I don't know. That's what I was asking. Funny that. Sorry. Sorry, I'm sounding sarcastic and I wasn't being sarcastic.
That's all right. I'm scrolling as you speak, but I can't remember where I saw it.
Yeah. Well, so that was Thursday. Back to the in-game events. On Friday, the 16th of June, there was the rather embarrassing incident for the Alliance. As for the last week and a half, the Alliance has said, "Oh, we will take all your Thargoid cultists off your hands as long as they're not bad uns. They've got to be vetted." And of course, President Hudson, yeah, sure, have all these religious nutters. We'll shove them in the desiccant mega ship and send them your way. Well, it turned out that the desiccant mega ship disappeared halfway through its jump, and nobody knows where it's gone. So, yes, there's a whole load of Thargoid cultists out there in a mega ship, exploring the cosmos by themselves, I guess.
Does anyone remember? Sorry, Chris, go on.
I was going to say, in an unrelated note, Etienne Dawn has yet another sail on.
Yes. Was they thinking, well, hang on a second, they've got this mega ship flying out somewhere and they've got a Thargoid coming in that seems to scoop up escape pods. I wonder what's happening there.
Does anyone remember how Jack's station was found when it misjumped and then disappeared?
Oh, yeah, I remember. It was cheesed by somebody.
It was indeed.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of
somebody was in deep in the heart of the galaxy, put their filters to look for systems with a population or something.
I think it was something like that. Yeah.
And lo and behold, there was one, and that's where Jack's station was.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been trying.
They still must have been fairly close, but fair play to the guys.
Yeah, people have been trying to use that method to find Raxxla for years, but they've I don't know. Raxxla might be a zero population planet.
Yeah, I don't think. I think even
Raxxla is a journey.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting story though, isn't it? Don't know where it's going.
Yes, and I mean I must admit it's quite interesting seeing all this is wrapped up with the, of course, the election that's happening in the Federation as well.
Wasn't Sojourner on board the Dedicant at one point?
Yes, she was. She was rescued by it because there was she was on the run from Azimuth. They think that Azimuth had almost got her, and then she was rescued by the Thargoid cultists. So, and then handed back to Aegis. Which was quite nice of them. Yeah, considering that they could have actually kept her hostage as basically the word of God.
Yeah.
If you
I've
think
got no
about
basis
the
for
myth of
that,
God.
but I have this vague image of Sojourner going back to the Dedicant and taking control and going, "Come on, lads, we're off. I've got a mission, and I need 5,000 devotees to help me with it."
We're on a mission from God. Yeah. So yeah, that's all the in-game news that has happened this week so far. It's quite a quiet one. Right, quickly, it's that time of the week again.
Score alert!
Quo
Well, if you like your ships to be golden, then we have the Solar Shine paint jobs for the Chieftain, the Corvette, the Fer-de-Lance, and the Anaconda, which, to tell you the truth, look like a very, very brilliant yellow to me. Has it got a metallic sheen to it, or is it just basically very bright
I've
yellow?
not seen this in game, but it looks like yellow stripes to me.
Yeah, it's sort of yellow and silver. Very faint silver.
Yeah.
Yellow and not quite yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it actually. I mean, yeah, it's one of the nicer ones that I've seen.
It's a bit
All
bland, bland, mate.
I mean, it'd be better if it were a rainbow. What with this being Pride Month? You know, we'll not mention that frontier development.
There you go, Psychic. Ben, carry the flag for you.
I can say, yeah, in Psychic's absence. Wrong! Pride flags, frontier, come on! Wrong!
Orange trails, that'll be acceptable too.
Yes. I think... I don't think I'll be getting one of those, to be honest. They look... Well, maybe for something for the Fer-de-Lance, because I think the Fer-de-Lance needs some decent skins. But yeah, I'm afraid to say it's not my kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a yellower version of what they were giving away on the Twitch drops on stream the other day, because they were kind of an orange variant of this one, weren't
they?
Yeah. Okay. I think we'll take another quick short break, and then we will be back with the rest of the show.
Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy.
Space is vast, and pirates have needs just like anyone else. Introducing the Lonely Pirate Handbook, the ultimate resource for lonely pirates. Our guide covers the hot spots and not spots of interstellar space, from smugglers' dens to space station taverns, with helpful chapters such as how to be presentable in polite society, how to get rid of that nefarious rank, and my favorite, occasionally shower. Are your early advances often mistaken for attempts to rob or plunder?
Oh, I've come a long way for what's in your hold. Prepare to be boarded.
Frameshift charge detected.
Oh.
Buy today and receive the Lonely Pirates Chat-Up Guide for free.
I've got a very large hard point. Would you like to see my very large hard point?
You're so hot. You're making my temperature critical.
Lower your shields. I want to inspect the goods.
Come back to my place. I might let you touch my A-rated Anaconda.
Are you smuggling illegal goods? Because you've got fine written all over you.
The Lonely Pirates Handbook. Now available in all Anarchy bookstores. We'll teach you to loot anyone's heart.
There's bargains at Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium haven't just been slicing carcasses, but also slicing their prices. All unspecified meat sausages now 2 for the price of 1. A pack of assorted meat steaks, now with 50% more meat at half the price. How about chops? Our surprising meat chops now also 50% off. And introducing our massive meat hamper. It's a family of 4. No, that should say feeds a family of 4, right?
Stick to the script, Claire. It says it's a family of 4.
Okay, I'll stick to the script.
Yeah, you do that.
It's a family of 4. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Find us in the Lave Business Directory or visit us next to the station mortuary. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. You'll wonder how our prices are so low.
This is Lave Radio. LaveRadio.com.
So is that going to be Thargoid scratchings, anybody?
Stick to the script, Colin.
Right. Well, we're going to be skipping over a couple of things because time is against us this time. For the any other business section we've got, for those of you who are fans of science fiction, Babylon 5, The Road Home, an official trailer for the new Babylon 5 animated movie, was released this week. I've already pre-ordered this.
I haven't pre-ordered it, but I've watched the trailer several times.
Yes, and I'm up there going, yep, I'm anything for some more Babylon 5. I know that this...
It looks like it's going to be good quality.
Yeah, it's up there with the same. They're using the same animation house as they have with the superhero movies, the latest animated Superman and Batman and stuff like that. And those are really high quality. It's kind of cross between hand drawn and computer animation. So
it does look really good. And for people who say cartoons are for children, I'm sorry, but anybody who's been watching, frankly, the Clone Wars or the Rebels and things like that in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
The Star Trek Lower Decks in Star Trek universe.
And there was also
it's good adult content. It's good mature. Oh, I want to say adult content, but it's not adult content. But you know what I mean.
Yes. There was a Tron cartoon which came out approximately the time. Yeah.
It also has Bruce Boxleitner in it.
It has. You need to. I think they've got it on Disney Plus. It was actually Elijah Wood was playing the lead character in it.
Okay.
And they had. Yes, and Bruce Boxleitner was obviously Tron as well. It was really, really good, but unfortunately, it only did one season, which is a bit of a shame. But I think it's on Disney Plus if you've got it. So
okay, I will have a shafty for it.
Yes. Also, in other news, we've got the Dex Legacy Season 2 Kickstarter. It was funded.
Yay!
Yeah, they managed to get £4,685 from their goal of $3,500. So we will be hearing, hopefully, from Season 2 from the Dex Legacy soon enough. So congratulations to Emily Inkpen and everybody over there. So, yay, thumbs up. So I think we shall, that's it, Tron Uprising. That was the name of it. So there you go. Have a look for that. That was a cartoon that dealt with some very mature themes. And yes, it was surprisingly grown up for a kid's cartoon, if you see what I mean. Mm-hmm. Anyway, questions of the week. Now, this was left over this was posted by a lovely psychic.
Late last week.
Yes. So on Thursday's Fringe Live, we had a sneak peek of this new Hunter variant Thargoid coming with update 16. We want to know what's it called, what purpose does it serve, and what does it mean for the Thargoid War? And yes. So Ben, you had your first one out.
Yeah, so I got in there with, it means the Thargoids are finally find an engineer who will deal with them. The good news is that they still need to unlock them. Which is basically what I said at the start of the show.
Yes. So effectively, they're collecting materials. They're collecting human hearts.
Yeah, they're doing engineering. We know they are.
I wonder if that means that some people's eyeballs are better at scanning than others. So basically, human eyeballs in the scanner. Am I going very dark here?
I was thinking, what's the certificate rating for really dangerous? Is this going into the
7A. So Colin is going dark.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can harvest human eyeballs to the 7A.
We had Pete Witherspoon, fidget spinner stealer of souls. That's what he wants to be called. They will ensure a scarcity of occupied escape pods, thus ensuring a good price for the often overlooked commodity. Buy escape pod futures now.
What do you want with these escape pods?
Oh, nom. Sackett. She's decided to call it Pointy Steve. And it's Etienne Dawn's personal courier service.
Yeah, you've heard of Apex Interstellar. Now we've got Etienne Interstellar.
I think a lot of people are going for the Etienne Dawn angle on this. Funny.
So you've got something snatching bodies. You've got to go down that way, haven't you?
Yeah. Holmberg was the next one who I mentioned earlier, who does the basketball blog, among other things. So he says, Harry is a Thargoid agent, and his crime cleanup services will place employees who are really Thargoid sleeper soldiers, bioengineered from stolen occupied escape pods, into settlements all over the bubble. Expect our settlement has gone mysteriously quiet. Please investigate.
I quite like that.
Sleeper agents.
Did you imagine if Harry is a double agent?
Yeah.
Quite like that one. And the Dutch Glaswegian, Caustic Beyblade. That's always put. Fantastic name, that one. But you want to say the next one? Okay, Chris.
Commander John Chorus, I know we should call the new thing variant Fargnapper, which I like.
But then Commander Australia came in with, I think I heard the slip of the name Skylon stream, and it seems to harvest human escape pods, possibly counter search and rescue. I'm not liking this one. What should be called the Reaper instead, and be involved in some kind of technological necromancy with Thargoid biotech.
Paul had his hands in that, didn't he?
I just had a ghastly thought. Was it a line in this? I suppose it was calling it the Reaper. I just had this ghastly thought. Imagine, when you destroy a bunch of revenants and then scouts come down to restock them.
Yes.
So imagine if scythes come down and send out their limpets, and the limpets are not just collecting escape pods, but
collecting our bodies. Oh God!
Imagine if one of these limpets actually grabs hold of you while you're running around on foot and just takes you up.
That'd be amazing, terrifying at the same time.
It would. I'm getting sort of flashes of War of the Worlds from that.
I mean, it's totally not going to happen, but what if instead of seeing the Rescue Ranger screen, instead you had you've been captured by the Thargoid screen?
Yeah.
The only way to recover from it is to start a new commander.
Yeah, reroll, stuff like.
Well, people wanted an Iron Man mode, didn't they?
They did.
Oh dear. Right. Darren has replied, said there is only one answer. The claw.
The claw. I would actually picture it, but it was a gif of the claw from Toy Story.
Well, it depends on how old you are. You're either thinking the claw from Toy Story, or you're thinking the claw from Inspector Gadget. That shows you your age differentiation. Difference there. Differentiation. What word was that?
Differentiation, I think you're thinking.
Yeah. It's very tired. I'm only surviving on 5 hours sleep. So let's move it on. For this, Etienne's Little Helpers. I could feel an advert coming off that one.
So it has to be Christmas themed, though.
Very true.
Yeah. So MV Cohorn is saying probably something obvious like the Reaper or the Scythe, which, yeah, the Morden accepts my escape pod offerings, but these bad boys will.
Oh, I wonder if it's like How to Train Your Dragon.
I'm thinking it can be used to wrap up with Thargoids.
I'm just thinking that it might be like How to Train Your Dragon, when in the first film when the dragons were dropping off all their kills into this big pit. If they didn't bring enough, basically the big dragon would reach out of the pit and just eat the dragon that didn't bring enough.
Yeah.
We could do that to these sites. You don't bring us enough escape pods, then you're up for the chomp.
I like this last one. Is from Lee Holden. Is Lee wonderfully in the loose screws, but Just winding down tracks up here again. He says, let's stick with the polearm naming convention. The halberd. They are harvesting human skin to cover themselves in so they can infiltrate humanity at the highest level.
That's like 3 kids in an adult's jacket trying to get into buy booze.
I mean, to be honest, it's fair play, you know, we've just had a paint job, we're covering our ships in their skin, so, you know, tit for tat.
Oh, I've just got the Reavers.
Quite literally tit for tat.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Sorry.
I can't believe that because you managed to discuss Ben.
Yeah, you managed to outspend Ben there. Congratulations.
It's such a bad influence, Ben. Dear. Right, anyway, I think you've got one final one, have you?
Yeah, it's not my one. I was just talking. I thought my own one. I think we should call them Combine Thargoids.
Oh, you got a brand new Combine Thargoids. Now you got you the key.
Who are.
I mean, they're clearly harvesting crops, so it works for me.
That's fair enough. Right, so I think that brings our question of the week to an end. We will be putting out a new question of the week at some point in the next couple of days. We're really enjoying these answers that we get. Always quite amusing. But we'll go with our shout-outs for the moment. So there's our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv/Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, there's radio.forthemug.com. For the Sydney Commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC, all one word. And if you could highlight the CQC bug that's on the issue tracker at the moment, that would also be appreciated. We'll give shout-outs to the other couple of Elite Dangerous podcasts which are floating around the internet, so that would be hi to the Guard Frequency, who do other space games as well. And of course, there's the Hillbilly Redneck Radio of Loose Screws, who love their plastic cheese of 304 different varieties over there. But don't mention glaives to them, because I think poor Gentrax is going to explode. Following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest, as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejuice. And we'd just like to thank everyone who's chipped in on the Twitch chat. And what in-game commanders or shenanigans have you been up to, Ben? And Chris?
The only people who signed each other as been Chris and I, which isn't massively surprising. Although apparently our audio is breaking up, so I hope the recording is okay, and it will be all okay in podcast.
Oh, yeah. Duplicates there. Right, so special thanks, of course, go to Commander Tokuso, JN Trax, and Alan Stroud, who have created music that we use on this show. But that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, then you can find our contact links at home/contact us on the website. Do let us know if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thank you to the Chris Mark IV.
You're welcome.
Thank you to Commander Adler Weiss.
Yeah, I just want to say to the live audience, let's face it, you ain't missed any real content, guys. Don't worry about it.
Thanks to the Commander Alec Turner.
Thanks for bye.
Yeah, we seem to be having a bit of cutout every now and again. We do apologise. And of course, special thanks, of course, goes to today's tech specialist, Commander Ventura.
And it is actually all his fault for
I did fix it.
These
it's
things.
fixed. It is
Yeah,
fixed.
you're